Chapter 887. This was not the first time. Xian Yuanyang shot a cold glance at Qin Wushuang. He suppressed his anger forcefully and asked, Chief Qin, according to you, how many soaring Galaxia commanding plates should we get? Qin Wushuang seemed to not care about Xian Yuanyang's murderous gaze as he said, if we are to consider the genuine Supreme Dao elite warriors first, then my Qin clan has as many as 3 genuine Supreme Dao elite warriors. No matter what, we should not only get 1 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Qin Wushuang did not argue fiercely. His words were reasonable, and it made it difficult for Xian Yuanyang to flare up. 3 genuine Supreme Dao elite warriors? I would like to ask. Qin Wushuang counted with his fingers. My Grand Elder Xiaotian has always been an elite warrior of the Supreme Dao. Everyone can testify this is the first one. Being the head chief of the Qin clan, I also trained to the genuine Supreme Dao stage by luck. This is the second one. As for the third one, it's my assistant, Bao Bao, with the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey. He also just broke into the genuine Supreme Dao stage. This is the third one. Xian Yuanyang was astonished. He looked at Qin Wushuang and sensed it carefully. Qin Wushuang also released some genuine Supreme Dao presence appropriately. Good, indeed heroes come from the young. Xian Yuanyang kept sneering. Then that ancient spiritual monkey, during the Heavenly Emperor Mountain competition, didn't he already become the guardian divine beast of the floating snow house? I don't know that he still occupies a spot in your Qin clan. It's not that he must occupy the spot of the Qin clan. If he did not, of course it would be better. However, Bao Bao is indeed at the genuine Supreme Dao stage. If we prioritize the genuine Supreme Dao elite warriors, of course he is qualified to get one. Of course, if we are talking about competition, he would not have any problems. Only in terms of the procedure, there is a sequence. At this moment, Bao Bao also stepped out. Yes, Sir Yang, I am a disciple of the Monkey Clan and have always been an old powerhouse of the Xian Yuan Mound. At this time, we cannot favor one and discriminate against the other. If they prioritize the genuine Supreme Dao, it would be unfair if they did not give the advanced Soaring Galaxia commanding plate. This sort of reputation was something that the Xian Yuan clan could not afford to lose. In desperation, Xian Yuanyang could only take a step back. Fine. Since there is a genuine Supreme Dao elite, we should respect the rules. The Qin clan received 2 advanced Soaring Galaxia commanding plates and lost 1 primary Soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Bao Bao, with the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey, received an advanced Soaring Galaxia commanding plate. The remaining 1 will be fought over by all the clans. This was actually just a small favor, and it could also protect the authority of the Xianyuan clan. Naturally, Xian Yuanyang knew what to choose. Anyway, he had the strength of the genuine Supreme Dao stage. If he went to compete, he could still get the high-grade Milky Way token. In that case, Xian Yuanyang would become a villain for no reason. Naturally, he would not do such a thing. In this way, the distribution of the Star River tokens was finally finalized. Nominally, the Qin clan had acquired 2 advanced Soaring Galaxia commanding plate. In fact, that divine beast Bao Bao should have belonged to the Qin clan. As for the rest of the competition, everyone would use their own methods. On the whole, it was very fair. The Xian Yuan clan directly took 15 Soaring Galaxia commanding plate. The Qin clan took 8 and the Xian clan took 7. This way, the remaining 30 would be fought over by other powerhouses. What made Qin Wushuang feel slightly annoyed was that clearly, the Xian Yuan clan wanted to protect the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect. They had let each of them get 1 intermediate Soaring Galaxia commanding plate. The other sects had acquired about 5 Soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Of course, there were also 4. Overall, there was not much difference. The other advanced Soaring Galaxia commanding plate was seized by the Purple Flame Electric Beast without any suspense. This made Xian Yuanyang feel incredibly annoyed, yet he could do nothing. This way, the Qin clan had acquired 4 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. It was almost on par with the Xian Yuan clan. The god-discarding door had a total of 12 layers of maze. In the eyes of the Xian Yuan clan, the primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate no longer held any attraction. It was a form of attitude for them to occupy a spot. As for the intermediate soaring Galaxia commanding plate, it did hold some attraction. However, the Totem clan was definitely not unfamiliar with the maze from the 5th to 8th levels. They needed the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate the most to explore the maze from the 9th to 12th levels. Upon seeing the number of soaring Galaxia commanding plates acquired by the Qin clan catching up to the Totem clan, Xian Yuanyang felt that his authority was being challenged. Inside one of the hidden deep valleys of the god-discarding door, Li Bai raised his head to look at the resplendent galaxy with a solemn expression. He gave a light sigh. Beside him, there was a person with the face of a baby, but the body of an adult. His hair was tied up in a braid, and his style was very strange. He said, "Boss, why are you sighing again?" Li Bai gave a light sigh. "Fourth, look at this boundless galaxy. The countless stars are like grains of sand. Each star is a material plane that nurtures countless lives. Tell me, how great is this master of creation?" The guy with the ponytail was the 4th of the heavenly profound 7 disciples. His name was Yichongtian, and he was a guy who looked young on the outside but was extremely old-fashioned on the inside. He whispered, "Boss Bai, you are being sentimental again. We don't care about the other material planes. It's good as long as our Tian Xianland is fine. It's a pity that in the vast universe, it's very difficult to stay out of it alone. Fourth, tell me, just how many people in those planes are also paying attention to the Tian Xianland while we are looking at the stars in the sky? And how many planets share the same fate as us?" Yichongtian opened his mouth, yet he did not know how to respond. Fortunately, at this moment, Li Bai moved his brow and revealed a smile. "They are here." Before his voice had dropped, 5 figures surged from all directions. With a whoosh, they dropped into the valley like falling meteors. "Senior brother, how have you been?" "Ha ha, all of you are still as graceful as before." Li Bai greeted them with a smiling face. These 5 people were the other 5 of the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples. They had received the highest order from Li Bai and rushed over from different places. Second, Xiao Yishuan possessed powerful strength. He walked the path of masculinity and was at the second calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. With an imposing appearance and a tall and sturdy figure, he gave off an incredibly masculine feeling. Third, Li Yifeng walked the path of elegance and possessed powerful strength. He did not lose to second, Xiao Yishuan. With a lean appearance and a tall figure, he gave off an elegant and otherworldly feeling. Fifth, Hua Xie was the most handsome one among the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples. Dressed in white robes, he had a cold personality and was a decisive person. The secret skill he practiced was the moon shadow sword technique. He absorbed the powerful extreme Yin Qi into the sword. His sword technique was otherworldly and erratic. Even second and third would not dare to look down on him due to its powerful power. Sixth, Qi Hengyu was like a young man with an easygoing personality. He was the most amiable one among the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples. With his amiable temperament, he gave off an incredibly educated feeling. However, this Qi Hengyu was a person with principles. He would not care about ordinary matters. Once his reverse scale was touched, Qi Hengyu would be more stubborn than anyone else. He would not turn back until he hit the southern wall. Therefore, when this Qi Hengyu was calm, he was like the gentle lake water that gave people a warm feeling. Once he exploded, he was more terrifying than the perilous waves. Therefore, the other senior brothers of the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples took great care of him. Sixth brother Qi Hengyu also had a very good reputation among his fellow disciples. Everyone was very concerned and admired this little junior brother of theirs. As for seventh, Miao Su, he was the last to enter the sect. His strength was also behind. However, this Miao Su had a strong personality and hated evil as if it was his personal enemy. What was more rare was his fiery temperament and meticulousness. This allowed Miao Su to become Li Bai's most trusted one. He only allowed Miao Su to move around in the secular world and learn about different kinds of confidence. When the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples gathered together, clearly they had important matters to discuss. Everyone locked their gaze onto Li Bai's face. All along, this frivolous senior brother had been their spiritual core. Everyone knew that with their teacher gone, in fact, senior brother was half their teacher. Therefore, in everyone's heart, Li Bai was both a teacher and a father figure. Second, third. At this occasion, we don't need to be courteous. Tell us about the soaring of Galaxia barrier. Li Feng shot a glance at Xiao Yishuan. Xiao Yishuan knew that Li Feng wanted him to speak as he did not decline. Senior brother, the soaring of Galaxia barrier seems to be stable recently. However, there was a period of intense activity a few dozen years ago. According to our repeated speculations, if there are no major accidents, this soaring of Galaxia barrier will last at least 8,000 years. As for the upper limit, it will not exceed 12,000 years. Senior brother, time is running out. Yi Chongtian mumbled. Senior brother, this time we must not hesitate. Regardless of the casualties, we must let them go through the maze after the 9th stage. If we are not willing to explore deeper due to fear of death, in the long term, our Tianxian land will not have a future. Yes, senior brother, this time you must not stop them. Whether they live or die, it will all depend on their strength and luck. Even if they drag out an ignoble existence now, when the soaring of Galaxia barrier breaks, they will still become the foreign slaves. It's better to give it their all now. Even if they die, they will die happily and live comfortably. Xiao Yishuan also tried to persuade him. Hua Xie did not speak much as he only nodded. It's better to die standing than to live kneeling. Qi Hengyu the 6th chuckled. Senior brother, we must give them some pressure. Or else, we will never be able to explore the end of the god-discarding maze. Time waits for no one. 8,000 years, it's too urgent. Although Li Feng and Miao Su did not speak, in fact one could see everything from their expression. They also hoped to increase the exploration effort. After Li Bai finished listening to everyone's opinions, he laughed. Brothers, you truly have the same idea as me. I had originally planned to give everyone more pressure this time. Instead of waiting for the foreign tribes to invade and die miserably, it's better to give it our all and charge through the god-discarding maze. What if the god-discarding maze brings a new turning point for the Tianxian land? One thing was certain, inside the god-discarding maze, treasures were piled up like mountains. As long as one was willing to charge through and come out alive, certainly there would be tremendous gains. Senior brother, since junior brother has already appeared, I think our bitter days should almost come to an end, right? Haha, I am really looking forward to it. I wonder what teacher has prepared for junior brother. Senior brother, how is junior brother's current strength? Third or fourth calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. Li Bai gave a light sigh and still felt somewhat regretful. It would be great if he could dash to the 9th calamity. I really want to get rid of the predicament of the Tianxian land as soon as possible. Upon hearing Li Bai's words, everyone's expression became solemn. Indeed, they needed an outlet for tens and thousands of years of suppression. Today it seems to be better. However, during the day I had to go out to decorate. Rest early and try to write more tomorrow. Let's stop here for today. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 888. When Li Bai saw everyone's solemn expression, to ease the atmosphere, he changed the topic. Miao Su said, "Junior sister, when you were supervising that golden crow at the endless eastern sea, did you gain anything?" Senior brother, after the fire god paramount was killed by the golden crow, the other 5 paramount totem elite warriors did not dare to neglect it. However, the golden crow is clearly keeping a low profile and no longer shows itself. The 5 paramount elite warriors searched every corner of the endless eastern sea and could not find the golden crow. This way you also did not find any traces of the golden crow? Li Bai's tone was extremely solemn. Senior brother, that golden crow must be proficient in immemorial secret techniques and has special concealment methods. For now, I cannot confirm its whereabout. Li Bai nodded. According to my and junior brother's speculation, perhaps this golden crow is related to those foreign spies that infiltrated tens and thousands of years ago. Everyone, try to think, when was the earliest time when the golden crow wreaked havoc at the Tianxian land? Xiao Yishuan had always been a steady person as he frowned lightly. In fact, this golden crow emerged during the immemorial period and no one knew their background. They only said that the essence of the sun and the water of the rushing current valley nurtured them day after day, and formed 10 golden crows. As for the truth, the immemorial gods did not know much. A trace of solemn, murderous intentions emerged from Huasie's handsome face. Senior brother, since we are guessing here, why don't you let me make a move and kill that golden crow with one sword? It's better than being overly suspicious here. This was not bragging. Don't think that those paramount totem elite warriors were having a hard time dealing with the golden crow and were being played around. If Huaxia were to make a move with his strength at the second calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, it would be a piece of cake to kill the current golden crow. Restricted by the current rules of the Tianxian land, the rebirth of the golden crow could not break into the heavenly supreme Tao stage. This was also the reason why the golden crow could not take out all the paramount totem elite warriors. However, although the golden crow could not break into the heavenly supreme Tao stage, the bloodline inherited from the immemorial period allowed it to possess astonishing combat power. It surpassed those paramount totem elite warriors. Li Bai shot a glance at Huaxia and carried a slight smile on the corner of his mouth. He looked at everyone. Fifth is still this sharp. Everyone, do you think it's feasible to make a move on the golden crow now? Qi Hingyu chuckled and said, if fifth brother makes a move, the golden crow can only stretch out its neck to be killed. However, I feel that it's not worth it to attack the golden crow now. What do you mean? With a faint smile, Li Bai seemed to want to test this 6th junior brother. Although these junior brothers were all cultivators who were tens of thousands of years old, their minds were actually very simple. Besides Li Bai, Xiao Yishuan and a few of the top-ranked martial artists, they were already famous elite warriors before they were chosen by his teacher, Li Xianfeng. As for the others, they were all up-and-coming talents. They lacked that kind of scheming and astute character. In these tens and thousands of years, among the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples, besides Li Bai and Miao Su who were qualified to step into the secular world, the others had their own responsibilities and did not have much experience in the ways of the world. Therefore, in these tens of thousands of years, they had gained a lot of experience in cultivation, but in terms of human relationships they were relatively blank. After all, in these tens of thousands of years, apart from the 7 martial brothers, he had no experience of interacting with outsiders. Qi Hingyu said with a polite smile on his face, Senior brothers, I don't care whether the golden crow is a demon of a foreign tribe or not. This is not a suitable time to make a move on him. If he is a foreign tribe, certainly he is the leader of the army. At this crucial moment, if we make a move on the golden crow, the other spies will certainly go into hiding. This will increase the difficulty of our investigation. If he is not a foreign spy, Killing the Golden Crow is the same as weakening the powerhouses of the Tian land. Once the soaring of Galaxia barrier is broken, perhaps those paramount totem elite warriors will not break into the heavenly supreme Tao stage, but the Golden Crow will break through on the spot. The soaring of Galaxia barrier was the only restriction that prevented those elite warriors from ascending to the heavenly supreme Tao stage. In these tens and thousands of years, Li Bai and the others were also affected by this soaring of Galaxia barrier when they could not break through. However, their teacher, Li Xianfeng, left them the secret techniques of the soaring of stars. Therefore, although they could not break through their stage, they could keep increasing their combat power. This would not make them idle for these tens and thousands of years. Li Bai laughed and turned to the others. What about you guys? Tell me about it. Xiao Yishuan was the second senior brother, and had the most right to speak. He said with a low voice, "We can kill the Golden Crow anytime. It's too early to make a move now. However, I feel that we should not wait until the opening of the God Discarding Door." Now, there were only 3 months until the opening of the God Discarding Door. Huaxia raised his brow and looked at Li Bai. "Senior brother, 3 months when you say it will come. This time, when the God Discarding Door opens, we must not let the foreign spy sneak in. How about this, with 3 months as the time limit, I will go out and kill that Golden Crow." "Eldest senior brother, let me go with 5th brother," Qi Hengyu volunteered. "Haha, senior brother, 5th and 6th have been suppressed for tens and thousands of years. I think we should let them move. Regardless, even if we do not kill it, we must control it. When the God Discarding Door opens, we must not give it any chance to stir up trouble." The 3rd brother, Li Yifeng, finally spoke. Naturally, Miao Su followed her husband. "3rd brother is right, even if we do not kill the Golden Crow, we must control it. The God Discarding Door will not allow it to cause trouble." Yi Chongtian had an old-fashioned temperament and was extremely fiery. He cried out, "4th, 5th, if this Golden Crow stirs up trouble, if it challenges you or wants to run away, just kill it. Don't talk nonsense with it." Huaxia said indifferently, "It cannot run away." Qi Hengyu laughed. Although he did not say anything, the confidence in his smile was apparent. In the end, Li Bai made the final decision. "Alright, then it's decided. 4th bro, 5th bro, when you do this, you must be direct and efficient. Don't drag your feet." Huaxia and Qi Hengyu nodded. Xiao Yishuan changed the topic. "Boss, for this opening of the God Discarding Door, are there any good seedlings from the various totem powerhouses?" "Same as usual, besides junior brother being a surprise. For now I don't see any exceptional ones. However, since the highest level maze is opened, we can look forward to those paramount totem elite warriors. I only hope that the Tian land can have more heavenly supreme Tao elite warriors. By that time, even if we have to fight the foreign tribes head-on, we will have more hope." Li Bai's tone was profound, and he was clearly not that frivolous martial artist from before. Instead, he carried a form of great and universal love. If the Tian land had more heavenly supreme Tao warriors, the cost of the invasion would be higher and the price would be greater. This way, to the enemy, it would be a form of gamble. They would not be willing to spend their hard-earned capital to conquer the Tian land. The sacrifice would be directly proportional to the gain. Li Yifeng laughed. "Senior brother, before junior brother appeared, I was worried about the fate of the Tian land. Now I am much calmer. I firmly believe that when teacher set up this trap, it's the same as giving the Tian land a chance to come back from a hopeless situation. 3rd brother's words make sense. I also feel that although teacher barged into our plane unintentionally, I can see that he also has feelings for the Tian land. Or else, he would not have spent such a great price to help us. Unfortunately, in the end, his divine soul still collapsed. If he was still alive, I believe that those foreign invaders would not have the slightest resistance before him," Qi Hengyu said. When everyone mentioned their teacher, Li Xianfeng, their expression turned gloomy as they sighed endlessly. Although tens and thousands of years had passed, they still felt deeply moved by their teacher's enlightenment that gave them a glimmer of hope. Senior brother, in the past, when teacher suffered such severe injuries to his divine soul, he could still open up the 7 deadly arrays formation, such a defying formation. Truly, he possesses great divine abilities. Tell me, if Master hadn't been injured, how could those bastards of the foreign races have resisted Master's divine ability? Li Bai shook his head helplessly. Everyone, don't forget that teacher was also being hunted. He also had many concerns. Or else, even if his divine soul was injured, most likely the foreign tribes would not be qualified to fight against him. Even with teacher's powerful strength, I don't know who could hunt him down. Li Bai waved his giant hand. Let's not worry about teacher's matters. To put it bluntly, we are teacher's emissaries. Everyone must set up a proper attitude. Little junior brother was Master's true successor. We must all pave the way for him. Only he is the key to solving the crisis of the Tianxian land. Yes. Everyone nodded with a matter-of-fact expression. For tens and thousands of years, this was the mission they always remembered in their hearts. Li Feng raised his head to look at the boundless sky full of stars. He could not help but laugh leisurely. After being lonely for tens and thousands of years, I am really looking forward to it. Junior brother, don't disappoint us. Suddenly, Li Bai shot a glance at Li Bai and Miao Su with a faint smile. Then, he resumed his frivolous tone. Third, among the 7 of us, you are the least qualified to say you are lonely. At least you have 7th sister to keep you company, the rest of us are single. Everyone laughed. Yes, third, if you say you are lonely, we will not do it. Li Feng said with a bitter smile. All right, you guys are more lonely than me. When junior brother becomes a talent and leads everyone to chase away the foreign invaders, I will certainly find a few partners for you guys. Ha ha ha. Xiao Yishuan said with a profound tone, I truly hope that at that time, we are all still alive. The battle with the foreign tribes was a life and death battle. Tens and thousands of years ago, countless immemorial Supreme Tao elite warriors sacrificed themselves. At that time, there were more than 100 heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors. The genuine Supreme Tao warriors were close to 200. In the end, they used the most tragic and stirring method to barely preserve a trace of hope for the Tianxian land. Therefore, even if junior brother rose quickly, they knew that there was no reason to be proud. For sure, this battle would be more difficult than tens and thousands of years ago. Of course, as long as their hot blood was not extinguished, they would have hope. There will be 2 more chapters for tonight and 3 more for today. Thank you for your concern, I feel much better. In the following days, as long as I am not too busy, there will not be a situation where there will be 1 more chapter. To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please go to www.chidian.com, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 889. On this day, Qin Wushuang seemed to have sensed something. Inwardly, he felt somewhat restless. Although he had not reached the stage where he could predict the past and future with a pinch of his fingers, his powerful intuition allowed him to make some prediction and preparation before the arrival of a crisis. This restless and anxious feeling was the familiar sense of crisis he was in the past. The feeling of a sudden impulse caused Qin Wushuang to open his eyes from his training. He sent his spiritual perception, Bao Bao, Lone, Fire Kailan, come to me quickly. Currently, these 3 divine beasts were Qin Wushuang's most loyal subordinate. They would arrive at his call. Boss, what's wrong? Bao Bao was the first to arrive in a hurry. Lone and Fire Kailan also rushed over. Get ready, let all disciples of the Qin clan return to the mountain gate and retreat into the defense zone of the mustard cave dwelling. You must not linger. If you are too far away, Avoid the disaster and do not expose your identity. Currently, Qin Wushuang was the god of the Qin clan. As soon as he gave the order, everyone in the Qin clan carried it out immediately. Inside the upright morality hall, everyone revealed a suspicious expression as they looked at Qin Wushuang. Head chief, now the situation is stable and the god discarding door is about to open. I think no powerhouse will provoke us at this time, right? Qin Wushuang said lightly. It's better to be prepared for a rainy day. Although I cannot judge where the crisis is coming from, my intuition has not been wrong. Upon hearing the words of Qin Wushuang, everyone felt apprehensive. Since the head chief said it this way, he must have his reasons. Not to mention that the intuition of the head chief was never wrong, even if it was wrong, since he dared to speak, there must be a reason. They must carry it out. Bao Bao chuckled. Boss, could it be that Saber-Beard is stirring up trouble? This guy has disappeared for a dozen years. I think he could not endure the loneliness. Qin Wushuang shook his head and said lightly, Now Saber-Beard is a few million miles away from us, there is no sign of him approaching. If it's Saber-Beard, there is no need to be so careful. More powerful than Saber-Beard? Everyone in the Qin clan had witnessed the power of Saber-Beard. In the past, he was on par with Xin Tianwen in terms of strength. Now that a few dozen years had passed, certainly his strength would increase even more as he strived to become stronger. If the enemy was stronger than Saber-Beard, it would be terrifying. Everyone, don't worry. When Qin Wushuang saw everyone's serious expression, he waved his hand and comforted them. Once I refine this cave dwelling, a true Supreme Tao expert wouldn't be able to hurt it at all. Even if all the Supreme Totem elite warriors came together, they still wouldn't be able to break it. Qin Wushuang hadn't said much about the mustard cave abode. At this moment, seeing everyone's strange expressions, he naturally didn't want to cause panic. Bao Bao was full of confidence as he laughed. Yes, don't worry. Without a heavenly Supreme Tao expert, no one could enter the mustard cave abode. Back then, Xian Yuanyang had boldly barged in. If you let him try it now, he will definitely be badly battered. Qin Wushuang was still confident about this. This mustard cave abode was refined by his teacher. It possessed vast divine power, and certainly would not be a problem to defend against paramount totem elite warriors. This cave abode was set up to defend against elite warriors of the heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Currently, at the Tian Xian land, besides the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples, how could there be any other elite warriors of the heavenly Supreme Tao stage? Perhaps there were, but certainly they were sealed inside the god discarding maze. Upon hearing Bao Bao's words, those people of the Qin clan laughed. Instantly, the atmosphere became much more relaxed. Just when everyone let out a sigh of relief, suddenly, outside the entire aspiring throne mountain, a burst of gigantic pressure pressed down as if the sky had collapsed. Boom! Without any warning, a wave of pressure formed an attack that could destroy the heavens and the earth, and heavily bombarded the outside of the mountain gate. They only heard the explosion of mountains collapsing and the earth splitting in all directions. Everyone immediately looked outside and saw that the continuous high mountains surrounding the aspiring throne mountain had been blasted off by a burst of gigantic power. It was as if a divine sword had shaved off a few hundred meters. Instantly, terrifying cracks appeared between the mountain ranges. The initially continuous mountain ranges had directly revealed deep canyons. All disciples of the Qin clan jumped up from their chairs. Head chief. Thousands of pairs of eyes looked at Qin Wushuang at the same time. Qin Wushuang was incredibly calm. He sat on the chair that symbolized the heavenly emperor and said lightly, "Everyone calm down, no need to panic." Currently, Qin Wushuang kept refining the mustard cave abode. The defensive range had extended to 1,000 miles and almost covered the entire core area of the Qin clan. Although it had not reached the highest level of 3,000 miles, the depth of such defense was enough to allow the Qin clan to be extremely carefree. Kid of the Qin clan, Qin Wushuang, right? Get out here! A piercing voice shouted without restraint and spread across the entire heavenly Emperor Mountain for a few 100,000 miles. Such a divine ability was truly terrifying. As soon as Qin Wushuang heard this voice, he frowned slightly and gave a long sigh. Indeed, as I expected, it's the Golden Crow. Upon hearing the words Golden Crow, everyone's complexion changed. Qin Wushuang waved his hand and said, "You are all inside the mountain gate, do what you should do. I will go take a look at the outside and see what this Golden Crow intends to do." Head Chief, no. Qin Chongyang immediately objected and shook his head. The Golden Crow is extremely rampant. He even killed one of the paramount totem elite warriors. Now, there's no need for us to clash head-on with him. Qin Wushuang laughed. I don't plan to clash head-on with him. Currently, I cannot beat him, I have this self-knowledge. However, even if we cannot beat him, it doesn't mean we must swallow our anger. After he had finished speaking, he laughed. Bao Bao, you three come with me to watch the show. Everyone else, stay here and wait for orders. When they arrived outside the Mustard Cave abode, the Golden Crow still roared and kept bombarding the mountain gate of the Qin clan. However, the defense of the Mustard Cave abode was incredibly mysterious. The attacks of the Golden Crow seemed to have smashed onto a sponge as the power disappeared without a trace. It was the feeling of drawing a knife and cutting water. The Golden Crow cried out with a rampant voice, Qin Wushuang, if you don't want to see the aspiring throne mountain get razed to the ground by me, then get out here. If I am in a good mood, perhaps I will kill two less. If not, humph humph. When Qin Wushuang arrived outside, he let out his voice and sneered, You feathered animal, haven't you wreaked havoc at the Eastern Sea enough? You came to my Xian Yuan mound to make a racket, could it be you are tired of living? Bao Bao also followed to hoot, Golden Crow, don't take advantage of your seniority. Go back to your rushing current valley if you know what's good for you. Or else, humph humph, one day my boss will peel off your skin and pull out your tendons. The Golden Crow gritted his steel teeth and roared continuously, Qin Wushuang, you have such a big tone. Watch me destroy your orthodoxy today. Let's see how you shoot me with the graceful spiritual bow, ha ha ha. Initially, the Golden Crow did not hold a deep grudge with Qin Wushuang. Yet, he held a predestined hostility towards the graceful spiritual bow. Since he hated the house, he also hated Qin Wushuang to the bone. In the past few decades, he had been dealing with those paramount totem elite warriors. Only recently did he run to the Xian Yuan mound. The first thing he did was not to kill his way to the forbidden place of the Xian Yuan clan, but to kill his way to the aspiring throne mountain. Qin Wushuang sat down lazily at the door and laughed leisurely. Golden Crow, if you have the skill, then make your move. If you can break my mountain gate, I will give you the graceful spiritual bow and the Qin clan. You can take whatever you want. I am just afraid you don't have the skill. These words angered the Golden Crow greatly as he cried out, Qin Wushuang, don't be complacent. Just with your little defense formation, do you truly think it's difficult for me? Up to this point, the Golden Crow still thought that this was only the defense formation of the Qin clan. He did not know the miraculous use of this mustard cave dwelling. He shook his body and dashed towards the mountain gate. Qin Wushuang also soared and activated the purple cloud in yang wings. He hovered outside the cave dwelling and prepared the graceful spiritual bow quietly. Even if he could not beat this Golden Crow, it would be nice to use the graceful spiritual bow to launch a sneak attack. This mustard cave dwelling had a total of 108 layers of defense, 72 small defenses, 36 major defenses. Among the major defenses, there were 9 super defenses that were equivalent to the attack of an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. For such level of defenses, if the Golden Crow were to barge in by mistake, he would be severely injured even if he did not die. Although the Golden Crow cried out arrogantly, he was definitely not a reckless person. On the contrary, beneath the rough appearance of this golden crow, he harbored an incredibly cunning mind. As soon as he entered the defense zone of the mustard cave dwelling, he felt that this space was incredibly strange. Vividly, there was a form of strange space rules. Although the Qin buildings appeared to be close, in fact, when he wanted to approach them, he felt it was unreachable. No, this mountain gate of the Qin clan is somewhat strange. During this time, the Golden Crow had traveled extensively and seen many mountain gates. However, being at the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage, besides needing to be careful when he went to those totem holy places, he could come and go as he pleased. He did not need to be vigilant at all. However, inside this mountain gate of the Qin clan, he discovered the same strangeness as the totem holy place. He could even say that this strangeness was even stranger than the totem holy place. The totem holy place was powerful because of their defense attack. Each layer of defense was passed down from the immemorial gods' era. They possessed astonishing power. Certainly the defenses set up by the heavenly supreme Tao elite warriors of the immemorial gods' era could not be ignored by the Golden Crow. The Golden Crow began to feel suspicious. Could it be that the Qin clan also had elite warriors at the heavenly supreme Tao stage during the immemorial era? Even if there were elite warriors at the first or second calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, they would not have been able to create such a grand formation. The use of space rules is simply the work of a master. No. The Golden Crow was naturally cunning. When he saw something was wrong, he became 120% alert. At this moment, suddenly, the Golden Crow sensed a burst of subtle movements from the left side. Shocked inwardly, he immediately stepped back. Instantly, a burst of powerful airflow attack shot out from the left side. It rolled through the sky and tore the surrounding space into pieces of devastation. This seemingly ordinary attack had actually shattered the void. Instantly, the scalp of the Golden Crow went numb. Just a little defense attack was no less than the full power attack of the 7th or 8th calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. If he were to encounter a large-scale defense attack, he would lose a layer of skin even if he did not die. To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. More chapters, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 890. The Golden Crow was greatly shocked. Before he went up the aspiring throne mountain, he considered countless ways to torture Qin Wushuang and thought of countless ways to destroy the Qin clan. He only thought about how to vent his anger and how to vent his suppressed emotions. The Golden Crow suppressed his anger for tens and thousands of years. In just a few dozen years, he was surrounded by paramount totem elite warriors. In fact, the anger inside his heart was flourishing. This time, he wanted to kill the aspiring throne mountain to establish his power by destroying the entire Qin clan. Who would have thought that he would kick an iron plate again? While he was lost in thought, he was tested by 2 attacks in succession. Now, he had not completely penetrated deep into the Qin clan. Therefore, the attacks he encountered were symbolic little defenses on the outside. They belonged to the 7th or 8th calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage and did not pose much threat to the Golden Crow. However, if he did not resist at all, it would be enough for him to drink a pot of water. Now, the Golden Crow was completely awake. He put away his previous contempt and carelessness, yet the anger inside his heart burned even more fiercely. That kid Qin Wushuang is acting so carefree because he has such reliance. That slave Saber-Beard is truly detestable. The information he gave me is completely inconsistent with this Qin clan. Inwardly, the Golden Crow was furious, although it was because the defenses of the Qin clan made him feel annoyed. On the other hand, the information Saber-Beard gave him said that the mountain gate defenses of the Qin clan could at most defend against the 5th or 6th calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. If it was any higher, the Qin clan would not have the slightest resistance. Saber-Beard was speaking from a higher position. Initially, when Xian Tianwen attacked the mountain gate of the Qin clan, he was only at the first calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. With the help of the Nirvana Heavenly Plow, he could break the mountain protection formation of the Qin clan. Although he almost succeeded, it was not because he lacked power, but because Qin Wushuang came back to kill. If he had given Xian Tianwen some more time, perhaps the Qin clan would have been destroyed by him. Once the Qin clan was destroyed, even if Qin Wushuang possessed divine skills, he would not be able to win the Heavenly Emperor competition alone. Each time Saber-Beard thought of this point, he felt incredibly regretful. He felt endless resentment towards Xian Tianwen. The Golden Crow followed closely and slowly swam towards the inside of the Qin clan. Although the prohibition spell was powerful, the Golden Crow was bold and powerful. It felt that it could deal with the Supreme Totem elite warriors and play with the 6 Supreme Warriors in the palm of its hand. Even if a mere Qin clan had some miraculous places, what could they do? With such determination, the Golden Crow was extremely persistent. For 7 days and 7 nights, it did not give up. It continued to wander around the periphery of the mustard cave dwelling, looking for openings and openings. Unfortunately, the mustard cave abode was refined by Li Xianfeng. Even if there was a breakthrough, it was not something the Golden Crow could break through at its current level. Until the Golden Crow bumped into a major prohibition carelessly and triggered the attack of a peak genuine Supreme Tao warrior. When he suffered some internal injuries, the Golden Crow woke up with a start. He knew that indeed this Qin clan had some skills. For this trip, most likely he would not gain any benefit. According to its observations, although the restriction that attacked it was powerful, it was clearly not the most powerful kind. In this space, there were at least 100 attacks, both real and illusory. There were a few that were hidden deeply. However, the surrounding mysterious feeling that made it suffocate made the Golden Crow not dare to charge in recklessly. Before the 9 major barriers, the Golden Crow only saw a dark and mysterious space. It could not even muster the courage to charge in. Without any other choice, it could only retreat obediently. Since Qin Wushuang was inside, of course he could monitor each and every movement of the Golden Crow. When he saw the Golden Crow was injured, he hoped wholeheartedly that the tyrannical personality inside the bones of the Golden Crow would erupt and he would continue to charge in recklessly. Unfortunately, this Golden Crow was incredibly cunning. After suffering some light injuries, it went down the line of fire. It did make Qin Wushuang feel somewhat disappointed since it did not charge in recklessly. If this Golden Crow were to charge in recklessly and get attacked by the super barriers, even someone as powerful as the Golden Crow would certainly nurse a grievance. Even if it did not die, it would suffer severe injuries. By that time, Qin Wushuang would activate the other barriers and attack together with the graceful spiritual bow. It would be strange if the Golden Crow was not killed. Unexpectedly, this Golden Crow was unusually cunning. After suffering some losses, it turned around and retreated. It was not as swift and fierce as its appearance. Qin Wushuang, who was full of disappointment, could not help but ridicule. "Golden Crow, didn't you want to exterminate my entire sect? Why are you running away with your tail between your legs?" The Golden Crow suffered a loss and was about to leave behind some harsh words before retreating. Unexpectedly, it was ridiculed by Qin Wushuang. It said angrily, "Kid, come out if you have the ability. What kind of ability is it to hide at home and shrink your head? If you dare to come out, see if I will not twist your head off." Qin Wushuang sneered and said, "Golden Crow, this kind of provocation is very childish. You are an old monster that has lived for tens of thousands of years. I have only cultivated for a few dozen years. I did not use the geographical advantage, and used my disadvantage to meet your advantage. Do you think my head was shot by the shooting sun arrows like yours? As soon as the golden crow heard the words, shooting sun arrows, it could not help but roar, "Kid, why don't you shoot me with the shooting sun arrows?" Qin Wushuang said lightly, "Sooner or later this day will come. It's fine if I don't draw the bow, but once I open the graceful spiritual bow and shoot the shooting sun arrows, it will be the end of the world for you." The lungs of the golden crow were about to explode from anger. Even paramount totem elite warriors would not dare to speak such boastful words when fighting with it. This Qin Wushuang, kid of the Qin family, was boasting shamelessly. With a sharp whistle, the golden crow was burning with anger as it roared, "Qin Wushuang, all disciples of the Qin clan must not leave the mountain gate for the rest of their lives. Or else, I will kill each one of you that comes out. Let's see how many people of the Qin clan can be killed by me." The golden crow used all of his divine skills to spread these words out continuously. Across the entire Heavenly Emperor Mountain, this sound formed into bursts of sound waves that pressed down like a heavy downpour. Instantly, the sky of the entire Heavenly Emperor Mountain seemed to have dimmed. "Qin Wushuang, since your Qin clan relies on the power of your mountain gate, I will let you go today. I do want to see if each of the sects in the Xian Yuan Mound have such powerful defenses at their mountain gate. How about the Yun clan? How about the Floating Snow House, the Misty Sword sect?" Suddenly, the golden crow roared with laughter. "I heard that the Floating Snow House is the home of Qin Wushuang's father-in-law. All right, I will go to the Mu Rong clan first and kill them all. I will also let the people of the Heavenly Emperor Eight Gates see that the so-called Heavenly Emperor does not deserve his reputation. When something happened to his father-in-law, he did not even dare to come out to rescue." Indeed, the golden crow was cunning as it had grasped the subtle point. The expression of Qin Wushuang changed slightly. He knew that the golden crow dared to do what it said. In the past few dozen years when the golden crow had wreaked havoc, all the sects it went to were broken. Once it was broken, the entire clan would be killed without leaving any leeway. Therefore, once the golden crow killed its way to the Floating Snow House, the consequences would be unimaginable. Just when Qin Wushuang was about to speak, a cold and stern voice emerged from the distant clouds. "Golden Crow, you are talking big, whose clan are you going to kill?" This voice seemed to come from 100,000 miles away, yet it also seemed to be right before their eyes. Like a sudden clap of thunder from the sky, it rolled continuously from far to near. The fast speed was overwhelming. When the golden crow heard this voice, its expression changed slightly. A strange thought emerged from its head. Who is this person? How come I have never heard this voice before? It had fought with the paramount totem elite warriors for a few dozen years. It knew the voice and personality of each paramount elite warrior clearly. However, the voice of this person did not seem to belong to any of the paramount totem elite warriors. Then who was it that came? The golden crow had a suspicious personality. As soon as it discovered the slightest threat, it would become 120% alert. It knew that it had made too many enemies at the Tianxian land. Once an elite warrior appeared, most likely they would not get along with it. It was not because the golden crow was brainless. Clearly, it had its reasons for becoming enemies with the Tianxian land. The golden crow opened its eyes and instantly, it expanded to a few thousand miles away. Suddenly, its pupils shrunk as it saw two figures skimming over at a speed faster than a shooting star. The golden crow was shocked inwardly. Such powerful temperament! Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors? As soon as this thought crossed its mind, the golden crow did not even think about it. It activated a strange talisman and disappeared completely from the mountain gate of the aspiring throne mountain. As Qin Wushuang witnessed everything, he did not even have the chance to stop it. As he watched the disappearing figure of the golden crow, Qin Wushuang's expression became even more solemn. It's the same, indeed it's the same. The method the golden crow used to leave is exactly the same as Saberbeard. It seems that it is not a method from the Tianxian land. This golden crow must be a spy from the foreign tribes. Darn it, this golden crow has been hiding at the Tianxian land for tens and thousands of years? Just as Qin Wushuang was lost in thought, two figures dropped onto the aspiring throne mountain. One of them was dressed in snow-white robes. With a slight frown, he looked at the mess at the aspiring throne mountain and gave a long sigh. Sixth, we are one step too late. Of course, this person was Hua Xie, the fifth of the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples. The person next to him had a young appearance and a natural smile. He was Qi Hengyu. Qi Hengyu said, "Fifth, it seems that the death of this golden crow is not today. Sixth, the method this golden crow used to escape was to use the rules of space to escape. It did not leave a single trace, we have no clue to chase after it. Indeed, this guy is cunning," Hua Xie said angrily. However, Qi Hengyu was extremely calm. This time it got lucky, it's impossible for it to not show itself. Yes, since it is here, it seems that it should meet with junior brother. Haha. Hua Xie nodded. Just when he was about to speak, suddenly a burst of glimmering light flashed from the mountain gate of the Qin clan. When the glimmering light blossomed, it transformed into a burst of strong light and flew out with a figure. Qin Wushuang. Hua Xie and Qi Hengyu called out at the same time. You too. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang had some guesses, yet he did not dare to be certain. Haha, I am Qi Hengyu. Senior brother Li Bai often mentioned you. Did he ever mention us? Qin Wushuang was overjoyed. It's 6th senior brother. Then you must be Hua Xie, 5th senior brother. I heard from senior brother that you two are in solitary training. Could it be you have finished your training? Although Hua Xie had an indifferent personality, when he saw Qin Wushuang, the successor appointed by his teacher, he showed a pleasant countenance. He nodded. Good kid, indeed you deserve your reputation. These few days the monthly votes are extremely miserable, they have exploded miserably. I asked for the monthly votes shamelessly, the exciting show is about to begin. To be continued, if you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 891. Although they had never met each other, as they shared the same inheritance, they found each other very agreeable. Even Hua Xie, who had an indifferent personality, always carried that joyful smile. Not to mention Qi Hengyu, such an elegant gentleman. Since the time was not ripe, it was not convenient for Hua Xie and Qi Hengyu to reveal their identity before other people of the Qin clan. Therefore, they chatted with Qin Wushuang for a while and left after encouraging him. When Qin Wushuang learned the intentions of these two senior brothers, he was also astonished inwardly. This way, senior brother was preparing to make a move against the golden crow. This golden crow has such power and came to show off before my mountain gate, yet I could not do anything to it. Thinking of this matter, Qin Wushuang felt angry. Qin Wushuang had never witnessed the divine skills of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. However, initially when senior brother Li Bai killed Xian Tianwen on the Xian Yuan stage, he could see the whole picture through a narrow window. For the golden crow, being a divine skill at the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage, Qin Wushuang had witnessed it a moment ago. It truly had the skill to flatten mountains and break peak. Because of the graceful spiritual bow, this golden crow is extremely hostile to me. I cannot keep swallowing this humiliation. The God-discarding door is about to open and it will be full of dangers. Even senior brother said that I will not be taken care of in the God-discarding maze. This way, in the God-discarding maze, everyone has equal opportunities. If I am not careful, I will encounter all kinds of dangers. Upon thinking here, suddenly a thought emerged in Qin Wushuang's mind. No, the future of this trip to the God-discarding door is unpredictable. I must explore the 7th loop of the 7 deadly arrays formation. Teacher left a message saying that as long as I have the strength of the first calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage, I can go. Now, I am at the fourth calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. If I am to make it through the God-discarding maze, I will not have the slightest advantage when facing those paramount elite warriors. I should see how many fortuitous opportunities Teacher left for me at the seventh loop. Regardless of the amount, I will make some preparations. When I arrive at the God-discarding maze, I will have more assurance. Upon thinking here, instantly Qin Wushuang had more desire to explore the seventh loop of the seven deadly arrays formation. Qin Wushuang was a decisive person who dared to do what he thought. After making up his mind, he returned to the upright morality hall. Everyone was still there. They were overjoyed to see Qin Wushuang return. Everyone, there's no need to worry. The Golden Crow has already left with injuries. Qin Wushuang smiled faintly and deliberately weakened the psychological impact that the Golden Crow had on everyone. Hearing the news that the Golden Crow had left with injuries, everyone's expression relaxed. Bao Bao chuckled. Now everyone can rest assured, right? Let me tell you, boss didn't even need to do anything. The restriction of the Mustard Cave abode directly injured the Golden Crow and made it escape. This was because it was lucky that it wasn't attacked by the super-powerful restriction. Otherwise, you won't even have a chance to escape. Bao Bao was not exaggerating. Lone also kept nodding as he listened from the side. Qin Wushuang clearly did not want to dwell too much on this matter. He smiled and said, "Everyone, the Golden Crow gave me some hints when it invaded. There are still 3 months before the God-discarding door opens. I need to make a trip." "Boss, you are going to that place?" Qin Wushuang nodded. "Yes." Upon hearing their answers, everyone had a mutual understanding and knew that they were talking about the immemorial formation. Bao Bao moved his brows and cried out, "I am going. Boss, this time you cannot leave me out." Lone also volunteered himself. Fire Kylan held a slightly lower position than Lone and Bao Bao. Although he did not say anything, the eagerness between his brows had already expressed his feelings clearly. Qin Wushuang shook his head. "This time, you can only bring Bao Bao. It's not that I am biased, but for the last loop of this formation, even if Bao Bao goes, it will be extremely risky. You must at least have the strength of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. For the few of you, only Bao Bao has the strength of the genuine Supreme Tao stage." Bao Bao was beaming with joy and was incredibly excited. He laughed foolishly. Qin Wushuang said seriously, "Bao Bao, I can take you. However, I must warn you beforehand that this time, it will not be the same as before. You must listen to all my instructions and not go anywhere without permission. Or else, you will not be able to defend against the shot of those defenses." Bao Bao stuck out his tongue. "All right, boss, I have always listened to you." Lone and Fire Kylan exchanged a glance and smiled bitterly. This was something they could not do. Boss was not being biased. Before reaching the genuine Supreme Tao stage, he would be throwing away his life if he went. Qin Wushuang said, "Lone, Fire Kylan, at the aspiring Throne Mountain, you must know your place and not run amok. You must listen to the orders of the second and third chief. Don't be cocky, understand?" Lone and Fire Kylan listened to Qin Wushuang's every word. Upon hearing his prompt instructions, they did not dare to disobey as they nodded in agreement. After he finished instructing them, Qin Wushuang went back to inform Murong Su and left swiftly. Bao Bao had been training at the aspiring Throne Mountain for a long time and was rather depressed. Now that he had the chance to get some fresh air, of course he was in high spirit. However, Qin Wushuang did not show off his Golden Crow along the way. In less than a day, he arrived at the cave of the fourth loop of the Tortoise King Mountain. Through the transportation formation, he arrived at the fifth loop of the Endless Eastern Sea and the sixth loop of the Heavenly Fire southern border. When he arrived at the sixth loop, Qin Wushuang took Bao Bao and arrived before the stone platform of the transportation formation. For someone as thick-skinned as Bao Bao, he also chuckled and asked with a lack of confidence, "Boss, I am not even at the second calamity. This transportation formation will not swallow me directly, right?" "Don't worry too much." Qin Wushuang laughed. "Don't get distracted, I am going to activate the formation." Bao Bao and Qin Wushuang had experienced this set of procedures many times. At this moment, of course, he was familiar with it and did not act carelessly. No wonder it was the seventh loop. As soon as Bao Bao entered this transportation formation, he immediately sensed a burst of extremely powerful pressure that was completely different from the past. This transportation channel felt as if two giant mountains kept pressing down on him. Bao Bao only felt waves of numbness in his muscles and bones as he felt strangely oppressed. Fortunately, this process did not last for too long. With a rumbling sound, the transportation formation stopped operating. Suddenly, a wave of spiritual light withdrew. A giant stone platform appeared. The surrounding layout was completely different than the layout of the sixth loop formation from before. Qin Wushuang's first impression was that it was very spacious. Initially, the sixth loop formation was also very spacious and had a completely different world. However, the scale of this seventh loop was more than 10 times the size of the previous one. It was a spacious hall, as if it was a grand palace. Inside the palace, rows of majestic pillars supported this golden and dazzling palace. That white jade-like floor seemed to have congealed a layer of white halo. When one stepped on it, one would feel as if they were floating. Qin Wushuang felt that each inch of this land emitted a burst of powerful spiritual qi movement. With a slight sense, he could sense the rich spiritual qi surging. Bao Bao followed behind Qin Wushuang. While walking inside such a grand palace, Bao Bao's throat also felt somewhat dry. He had changed from his previous carefree personality and said carefully, "Boss, there is such rich spiritual qi movements here. If I train here, I will certainly progress quickly." Of course, Qin Wushuang felt the same way. He nodded. This seventh loop is the core of the formation. It's natural for it to have abundant spiritual qi. Previously, Qin Wushuang already knew what the seventh loop meant to the entire formation. It was the absolute core and the essence of the entire formation. The first 6 loops appeared to be miraculous. However, to put it bluntly, they were the background of the 7th loop. They were to set off the 7th loop and prepare for the 7th loop. Compared to the 7th loop, the first 6 loops were not worth mentioning. Although Qin Wushuang was mentally prepared, he still felt his heartbeat accelerate when he walked to the boundary of the 7th loop. Finally, he had touched the core area of the entire formation and was about to unveil the veil of the entire formation. After walking around the entire formation area, Qin Wushuang returned to that stone platform. Qin Wushuang knew that this stone platform was the core area of each loop. He poured in his supreme Tao power to activate this 7th loop. After Qin Wushuang had poured in his supreme Tao power, it was as if a match had been lit and lit up all the bright lights of the entire formation. Instantly, dazzling and eye-catching 5 colored lights floated in the entire space. Those giant pillars also became lively. Under the 5 colored lights, those carvings seemed to be jumping out of the pillars. They were vivid and lifelike, as if they were waiting for the finishing touch to bring them to life. Bao Bao was deeply impressed by the scene before him. He flicked his tongue and did not dare to make a sound. As he looked at this dazzling scene with a solemn expression, he only felt his mouth and tongue dry. It was like a dream. "Ha ha, welcome, lucky one. Of course, at this point, perhaps I should call you my little disciple. First of all, I must congratulate you. It's not easy to reach this step. However, since you're able to reach this step, it means that you've already made many remarkable achievements in the Tianxian land. You've even accomplished a world-shaking undertaking. However, this is not a reason for you to be proud. It's because when you enter this 7th loop, It will be the true starting point of your path as an elite warrior. This was the true starting point. Bao Bao felt dizzy and dazzled when he heard this. It seemed that all his hard training in the past had not even started yet. However, Qin Wushuang revealed a solemn expression as a layer of solemn light enveloped his face. Like a disciple who had received his precepts, he was listening to the teachings of a senior. When you reach the 7th loop, the first thing you must understand is not what fortuitous opportunities one will give you at this level. You should also not stop your gaze on the gains and losses of treasures. Now that you're here, you must first understand the person who set up this rune. If you agree, then I can call myself your master right now, and you must bow 3 times and kowtow 9 times to me in the direction facing south of the stone platform to complete the ceremony of acknowledging me as your master. Qin Wushuang was not careless at all. Although he had never met the owner of the 7 deadly arrays formation, his transformation and enlightenment were incomparable to anyone else. Thus, it was natural for him to call this person his teacher. As for this person, he deserved it. When he thought here, Qin Wushuang did as he was told respectfully without hesitation. He bowed 3 times and kowtowed 9 times to complete the ceremony of becoming his disciple. "Ha, very good, you did not try to play tricks on me. This is a good thing. It proves that this disciple I've taken in holds a righteous heart and is not a sly person. Did you know? If you had been half-hearted and did not perform the ceremony of becoming my disciple, or tried to fool me, you would have been kicked out of the formation and would never be able to enter again." As soon as he said these words, instantly, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao felt apprehensive inwardly. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 892. It seemed that the master who had set up this 7 deadly arrays formation was indeed scheming. In the past, although there were some tests at the 6th loop, they had never set up such a huge test like this. If one did not kowtow, they would be sent out and would never be able to return. This was such a decisive test. They would rather abandon the formation than let someone with evil intentions get the core of the formation. Bao Bao gave a long sigh. "Boss, it seems that this formation was made for you. If it were me, I would not have done it so respectfully." Qin Wushuang could understand. Bao Bao was from the Beast clan. His bloodline inheritance was completely different than human martial artists who respected their teachers. "Since you have already inherited my legacy, you must know Shizuan's name. I am Li Xianfeng, a martial artist of the 9 luminaries. If you want to know my age, I should be more than 1,000,000 years old. Haha, don't be surprised. In the vast universe, martial artists who are 1,000,000 years old are as numerous as the hairs on an ox. However, among martial artists who are 100 years old, there would not be more than 100 who could achieve my level. That's right, 100. I will never surpass this number." Li Xuanfeng's tone was full of pride. Of course, in the Tianxian land, it would be inconceivable to be 1,000,000 years old. However, in the entire universe, 1,000,000 years old was as ordinary as a speck of dust. Haha, unfortunately, I was a bit hot-headed due to my success at a young age. In the end, all my efforts were in vain. My soul was lost in a foreign land, how sad. From Li Xuanfeng's tone, there was a trace of sadness. Thus, young man, if you are successful at a young age, you must not be too flamboyant. You must remember, regardless of how good your luck was in the past, and how smooth your training has been, you must not let your guard down. Don't think that you are infallible and think that you will always be lucky. I can tell you clearly that once you hold such thoughts, perhaps one day you will meet with great misfortune. Qin Wushuang's heart trembled. Apparently, this was his teacher's experience. It seemed that he had encountered a tremendous blow that caused him to wander to the Tianxian land and in the end, he did not survive? Even a powerful existence like Master could not survive. What kind of terrible blow did he suffer? My disciple, remember this. Since you've entered the seventh ring, it means that you've inherited my legacy. Now that you've inherited my legacy, you have to work for me. As the saying goes, when the master has something to do, the disciple has to take care of it. Although my soul has been severed from the Tianxian land, at least there is a strand of my divine soul that did not perish. It is sealed at the core of the seventh circle. If you can grasp the supreme heavenly Tao law in the future, you can defy life and death and seize fortune. You might be able to revive me. Of course, this is destined to be a long journey. There might be a glimmer of hope, but it might never happen. A glimmer of hope? Qin Wushuang's heart suddenly trembled, and he secretly vowed in his heart, no matter how much hope there is, as long as there is a chance, I, Qin Wushuang, will rush to the end for Master. Master used the 7 deadly arrays formation to transform me. Now that I have received his favor, how could I not repay him? Although he knew that perhaps his master could not hear him, he still said seriously, Master, I swear here that even if there is only a glimmer of hope, I will work hard and rush about for Master's destiny. I will never shrink back even if I have to go through mountains of blades and seas of fire. My disciple, I don't know how long I will have to wait here. I also entered your plane by accident. I must say that your plane is incredibly weak. It might not be a bad thing for the Tianxian land to be invaded by the foreign tribes. Perhaps only the test of the foreign tribes will make the Tianxian land more powerful in the future. Only by fighting with ferocious opponents can the entire plane be improved greatly. I can tell you clearly that if a plane does not even have a master god, sooner or later you will become a slave in the hands of others. Your entire plane will become their territory. Therefore, to get the Tianxian land out of this predicament, there is only one way: to become a master god. A master god, only those at the 7th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage could be called a master god. Bao Bao's face was full of confusion as he asked in a low voice, Boss, what is a master god? Qin Wushuang explained in a concise and comprehensive manner. Instantly, Bao Bao was dumbstruck. There were also 9 calamities at the heavenly supreme Tao stage? The first and second calamities were initial stage heavenly gods. The third and fourth calamities were middle stage heavenly gods. The fifth and sixth calamities were advanced stage heavenly gods. Only those at the 7th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage could be called master god. Bao Bao felt his head swelling. Now that he had trained to the genuine supreme Tao stage, he felt each step was incredibly difficult. If he did not have the bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey, most likely he would only be a martial artist at the void martial stage. The heavenly supreme Tao stage was simply unreachable. Clearly, the 7th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage was a level he could not even see. Each calamity at the genuine supreme Tao stage was already incredibly difficult to cross. When one reached the heavenly supreme Tao stage, one could imagine how difficult it was. In the universe, there are many little universes, and each small universe was made up of tens of millions of star regions. Each galaxy also has countless planes like the Tianxian land. You can imagine, to be the master of a plane, you need to possess the strength of a master god. For a galaxy, you need at least one heavenly honored warrior. The master of the little universe is at the level of the Holy Emperor. The master god was at the 7th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. The heavenly honored warrior was at the 8th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. The Holy Emperor was at the 9th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. Qin Wushuang had once heard Li Bai's simple introduction. Now, with the entire system before him, Qin Wushuang finally knew the difference. He was even more astonished at the monstrous difference between the heavenly supreme Tao stage. It seemed that there was only a single calamity between the master god and the heavenly honored warrior. However, the difference in strength and status could not be described with word. A master god could be the master of a plane. A heavenly honored warrior was qualified to rule a galaxy. For a galaxy, the small ones had thousands or tens of thousands of ordinary planes. For the big ones, it would be normal to have a few dozen or a million. For such difference, Qin Wushuang kept shaking his head when he thought about it. The difference is too great, just too great. Qin Wushuang gave a light sigh. For the genuine Supreme Tao stage, although the difference between each calamity is obvious, it should not be to this extent. It seems that the difference between each calamity of the heavenly Supreme Tao stage must be measured by the distance between the galaxies. It's too terrifying. Clearly, Bao Bao was even more dizzy than Qin Wushuang. This was the first time he came in contact with such knowledge. He was stupefied and could not refrain from asking, "Boss, for your teacher, just what calamity is he at? Is he a master god or a heavenly honored warrior?" Qin Wushuang shrugged his shoulders with a bitter smile. "I don't know either." Li Xuanfeng's voice paused for a moment. Then, it sounded again. He gave a long sigh with an unprecedented sense of vicissitude. "Too bad. I was blinded by a momentary obsession. Initially, with my qualifications, as long as I was willing to train, after a few million years, I would be qualified to rule a little universe. Unfortunately, in the end, I was unwilling to be left out and barged into the primal chaos Great Luo realm. I didn't expect that I would actually obtain a wisp of authentic primal chaos energy. This primal chaos vital qi is a wisp of primal chaos vital qi from the birth of the Great Luo universe. Back then, Supreme Grand Heavenly Realm Pan Huang, who had created this universe, had created this Grand Heavenly Realm. It was born from this state of chaos. His wave of primal chaos vital qi transformed into 3 supreme Great Luo universe to rule the current Great Luo universe. In the Great Luo universe, whoever is qualified to acquire a wisp of primal chaos vital qi will have the hope to transform into the 4th supreme Great Luo and become the supreme ruler of the Great Luo universe. They will grasp the rules of the universe and be able to reverse the past and the future. Qin Wushuang was completely shocked. It seemed that the peak of the 9th calamity of the heavenly Supreme Tao stage was not the strongest warrior in the universe. Above the Holy Emperor of the heavenly Supreme Tao stage, there was a Supreme Great Luo. The Supreme Great Luo was the true ruler of the universe. And in the Great Luo universe, there were only 3 such rulers. And in the entire Great Luo universe, there were countless small universes. The ruler of each small universe must be the Holy Emperor of the 9th calamity of the heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Until this moment, Qin Wushuang finally realized what it meant to be at the peak of the universe. What it meant to be at the peak of existence. At the peak of this powerhouse system, what were genuine Supreme Tao martial artists? Most likely, they were not even considered ants, right? As for ordinary humans, they were so insignificant that it was indescribable. Qin Wushuang was surging with excitement. Supreme Great Luo, this supreme existence had deeply shocked his soul. The Tianxian land was only an insignificant ordinary plane in the Great Luo universe. In the entire Great Luo universe, it was like a speck of dust in the Tianxian land. But, so what? In the entire Great Luo universe, the Tianxian land was indeed insignificant. However, to the people living in this plane, the Tianxian land meant their home, it meant everything. Whoever threatened their home and their existence, naturally they had every reason to defend it with their lives. Qin Wushuang swore inwardly that regardless, he must become a master god. Only by becoming a master god and forming a nominal control over the Tianxian land could he intimidate the foreign tribes and tell them that the Tianxian land had a master and no one should think about touching it. Qin Wushuang had no reason to be discouraged. On the contrary, he felt full of confidence. Hearing his teacher's tone, even if he was not the holy emperor of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, most likely he was not far from that level. It was even possible that his teacher was at the 9th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, but he had not become the master of the small universe. Or else, how could he have dared to charge into the chaotic great Luo primordial realm? How could he have the ambition to become the 4th supreme great Luo? My disciple, you must be muttering to yourself about what stage I have reached, right? Haha, I can tell you clearly that when I was 1,000,000 years old, I entered the 9th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. I am the true holy emperor of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. However, even though we are all holy emperor of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, there is still a gap between our strength and power. When I obtained the chaotic chi, before I had the time to merge it, I was chased by hundreds of holy emperor of the heavenly supreme Tao stage who heard the news. Along the way, I fought until the sky turned dark, and in the end, it led to this tragedy. If I could have kept calm, if I could have waited a few million years, when my strength had reached a level where all the holy emperor of the heavenly supreme Tao stage could not pose a threat to me, wouldn't it have been better to go to the chaotic great Luo primordial realm? Haha, I was too impatient, haste makes waste. Li Xianfeng was deeply moved, and clearly, he was somewhat regretful. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 893. A 9th Tribulation Heavenly Supreme Path Expert. Even if the great Luo universe was big, that was a peerless genius that might not appear in 10,000 years. What's more, Li Xianfeng was able to enter the 9th Tribulation Heavenly Supreme Path when he was 1,000,000 years old. His aptitude was excellent, and he was obviously the top existence in the great Luo universe. If he could keep his composure and endure for tens of millions of years, or even tens of millions of years old, then there was probably no place in the entire great Luo universe that he couldn't go. Although there were many small universes in the great Luo universe, there were also strong and weak ones among them. Among the holy emperor of sky martial arts, there were also ranked. If one could enter the top 100 in the entire great Luo universe, then he would be a popular figure in the entire great Luo universe. Li Xianfeng originally had the hope to become such a person, but unfortunately, he couldn't keep his composure. He didn't have enough experience, so he started to act impulsively, and in the end, he attracted the immeasurable tribulation. The so-called immeasurable tribulation was a tribulation that surpassed the 9th tribulation of the heavenly supreme path. Haha, my little disciple. I've nagged and said so much. Actually, I just want to tell you, don't be impulsive. Don't be impulsive at any time. Especially when you've cultivated to that level, don't care about that little bit of time. You must be able to endure loneliness. Qin Wushuang secretly nodded and engraved it in his heart. Disciple, the cultivation of the heavenly supreme path and the true supreme path are two completely different things. You may be in the range of the true supreme path, measured by hundreds or even dozens of years. But when you reach the heavenly supreme path, you'll find that dozens or hundreds of years is simply a snap of the fingers. One closed-door training will take several dozens or hundreds of years. The cultivation of the heavenly supreme path is at least 1,000 years as a year. So, you must not put the cultivation mentality of those below the true supreme path into the cultivation of the heavenly supreme path. These were words from the bottom of his heart. Qin Wushuang actually understood in his heart, but after such a reminder, his impression was obviously deeper. With his master's reminder, he naturally wouldn't be careless and be impatient for success. Well, my disciple, you don't have to worry too much. Since you've inherited my mantle, of course, I won't let you suffer. I won't let you take so many detours. Therefore, I condensed the essence of my life's cultivation into 5 rays of divine light and fused them into your body at the beginning of the 7 deadly arrays formation. It is also because of this that your cultivation speed will be 10 times or even 100 times faster than ordinary people. Qin Wushuang was suddenly enlightened. The mystery was finally revealed. The 5-colored divine light turned out to be the condensation of his master's lifetime essence. Naturally, it was no small matter. The lifetime essence of the Sky Martial Holy Emperor, even in the entire Great Luo universe, would be fought over. Not to mention in this tiny Tian Xian land. Perhaps there wasn't even a single person who knew what was good for them. If there were tens of billions of heavenly venerates in the Great Luo cosmos, then the number of heavenly venerates that could become the Sky Martial Holy Emperor would definitely not exceed 1,000,000. This was the difference between them. As such, it was easy to imagine how attractive the cultivation essence of the Holy Emperor of the Sky Martial Realm was. You can say that I've already paved the way for you. As for how high you can climb in the future, it will depend on your own fortune. Of course, I still hope that the wisp of chaotic chi that I haven't fused with can ultimately bring you to an unprecedented height. Only when you reach that height can you truly go against life and death, turn the cycle of reincarnation, and seize fortune. In this universe, only the Supreme Great Luo can control all rules, including the rules of time and space. Do you understand? All of this was profound, but Qin Wushuang understood. The Supreme Great Luo was equivalent to the controller of the entire universe. They were the masters of all the rules of the universe. Naturally, they could also control the cycle of reincarnation. However, the Supreme Great Luo were the 3 Supreme Great Luo formed by Supreme Pan Huang when he created the world. Now, the Great Luo cosmos had been operating for hundreds of billions of years, yet no new Supreme Great Luo had appeared. One could imagine how difficult it was. In Qin Wushuang's opinion, this could only happen when the universe collapsed and the creation was reborn. However, since his master had instructed him, he had no reason to refute. Even if he refuted this kind of voice recording ability, it would be useless. In any case, in this 7 deadly arrays formation, he could only listen to whatever his master said. After he finished listening, he would just do as he was told. Disciple, when you were being hunted, your divine soul escaped to this material plane that is an unknown distance away from my homeland. Finally, you avoided the pursuit of so many opponents. Unfortunately, in this Tian Xian continent, I couldn't find a body that could accommodate my injured divine soul. Most importantly, the spiritual power of this Tian Xian continent is not enough for me to heal my injuries. Don't you think I'm wronged? However, this is not the Tian Xian continent's fault. I barged in myself. When I saw the Tian Xian continent and the foreign races fighting in full swing, I couldn't even protect myself. Of course, I couldn't come out to deal with the foreign races. Of course, I also don't like the place where my divine soul rests being disturbed by the foreign races. The foreign races have a repulsive appearance and hearts like snakes and scorpions. Such a race is not worthy of inheriting my legacy. Therefore, I set up this 7 deadly arrays formation to make some restrictions. Only the martial artists of the Tian Xian continent are qualified to inherit my formation. In a hurry, I also took in 6 emissaries. They can be considered as my disciples. Unfortunately, they either don't have enough fortune or talent. None of them could inherit my legacy and bear the baptism of the 5-colored divine lights. Therefore, they could only run around for me as emissaries. Considering that they are martial artists of the Tian Xian land, of course I had to give them some hope when I took them in as my disciples. Finally, Qin Wushuang understood that this was how the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples came to be. No wonder Senior Brother Li Bai and the others respected their teacher so much. Indeed, they received their teacher's guidance. Naturally, such guidance was incomparable to any famous teacher in the Tian Xian land. Indeed, it was turning stone into gold. It allowed them to become the top existences in the Tianxian land with their above-average talent. Although the gods of the Tianxian land are crude and have ordinary strength, their love for this plane and the sacrifices they made for this plane are pure. One cannot help but feel respect for them. Due to this respect, when they chose to use their divine soul to seal the soaring of Galaxia barrier, I also secretly used some methods to help them. Or else, do you think that with their divine soul, they could make the soaring of Galaxia barrier so firm? The foreign tribes had masters of the plane and elite warriors at the master god level. The strongest warrior in the Tianxian land was only at the fifth calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. The difference between them and the master god is incalculable. Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao were sweating profusely when they heard this. It seems that the Tianxian land was able to hold on until now because of this foreign guest's secret help. Qin Wushuang could not help but feel somewhat depressed. It seemed that the plane of the Tianxian land was rather weak. This plane that was more or less similar to the mythological era on Earth was this weak. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt somewhat ashamed. However, he thought that the great Luo Pan Huang was the great god Pan Gu who created the world in his previous mythological era. Transforming into three supreme great Luo at once, wasn't it the mythological story of one Qi turning into three pure ones? It seems that the description of the mythological era on Earth was not without foundation. Of course, don't be discouraged. Humph humph, if you can inherit my legacy completely, not to mention a master god, you can even kill a heavenly warrior with a flip of your hand. However, this is only a theoretical possibility. Whether you can train to that step and whether you have the time to train to that stage, I am deeply doubtful. According to my observation, under the attack of a master god, this soaring of Galaxia barrier will not hold on for more than 100,000 years. From the age of the gods until now, it had been 60 or 70,000 years. According to Senior Brother Li Bai's words, at most the soaring of Galaxia barrier could hold on for another 10,000 years. In total, it would be 70 or 80,000 years. His teacher's eyes were truly sharp. Indeed, it could not hold on for more than 100,000 years. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang had a clear idea. In these 10,000 years, he must train to the Master God stage to ensure the safety of the Tianxian land. Or else, in the end, it would be extremely dangerous for the foreign tribes to invade. To train to the Master God stage in 10,000 years, without seizing the fortune of the heavens, most likely one would not find many such monstrous geniuses across the entire great Luo universe. After all, a Master God could not be created with monstrous talent. The birth of each Master God was an incomparably difficult process. In the boundless great Luo universe, it would be an overestimation to say that one Master God would emerge from a trillion martial artists. The actual probability would be even lower than this. However, Qin Wushuang had this fortune of seizing the heavens. Indeed, Li Xianfeng had paved the path for him. This fortune of seizing the heavens was something that others could not get with envy. It could even be said that it was something that could not be sought. After all, no elite warrior at the ninth calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage would be bored enough to burn their divine soul and condense the essence of their lifetime to make a wedding dress for others. Li Xianfeng was forced to do this because he had no other choice. My disciple, remember, don't show off your abilities. When you are not strong enough to fight against a master god, do not strike a stone with an egg. Or else you will not have any chance to survive. For elite warriors above the Master God, do not even try to offend them. Let me tell you bluntly, for an elite warrior at the level of the Tianwu Holy Emperor, even if he moves his finger, he can make your ordinary plane collapse completely. Before the Tianwu Holy Emperor, a Master God would be like an ant that he can pinch at will. This was a warning to Qin Wushuang that before he had achieved great success, he should not try to fight against the foreign tribes head-on. My disciple, I once told you that this 7 deadly arrays formation contains the essence of all parts of the Tian land. Outside of this formation, it leads to the entire vast galaxy, the boundless great Luo universe. Therefore, I can tell you clearly that if you want to fight against the foreign tribes, you must leave the Tian land to train. Or else, under the soaring of Galaxia barrier, you will never become a master god. Before the foreign tribes invade, you will not have any hope. You want to ask, how can you leave the Tian land when the soaring of Galaxia barrier is set up? Haha, indeed they have no way, but who am I? I have a way. The Tianwu Holy Emperor will always have a way to enter an ordinary plane. No matter how good the defense is, it will not be able to stop him. For this 7th loop, I have specially set up a transportation channel for you. It will lead to an advanced material plane. When you train there, your training speed will be 10 times faster than at the Tian land. It was another paved road. Qin Wushuang's feelings emerged spontaneously. Indeed, his teacher had arranged everything appropriately and had considered the fate of the Tian land thoroughly. When he thought here, Qin Wushuang became even more excited. Now, he wished he could immediately train to the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage and soar to the Galaxia. He could not wait to see the existence outside of this plane. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 894. To the Tian land, the existence of the 7 deadly arrays formation was indeed an unexpected great harvest. It could even be said as the only ray of hope for the Tian land to escape. Being the new owner of the 7 deadly arrays formation, naturally Qin Wushuang must shoulder this unprecedented great responsibility. My disciple, those beneath the heavenly Supreme Tao stage can only be considered a warm-up. Only by entering the heavenly Supreme Tao stage can you experience the so-called cruel natural law. The natural law is merciless. Under the rules, regardless of the Holy Emperor or ordinary people, under the absolute rules, they are all chess pieces of the natural law. And those chess pieces will always be in the minority. Alright, it's too far in the future to talk about these things. I believe you are looking forward to seeing how many good things I left for you at this 7th loop. Ha ha ha. When Li Xianfeng said up to this point, his tone had clearly become much more straightforward. He also walked out from his previous sadness. Bao Bao's eyebrows moved greatly. In fact, he was not interested in these great principles. He came to the 7 deadly arrays formation to see all kinds of treasures and equipment. Now, he finally understood why there was a rumor about how one could ride above the peak of the Tian land after acquiring this immemorial formation. This was not as simple as riding above the peak of the Tian land. Any random treasure would most likely be able to ride above the peak of the Tian land. In comparison, the Tian land was too tiny. Under the background of the entire great Luo universe, it was insignificant. My disciple, when you inherited the 7 deadly arrays formation, the door I set up for you was already opened. Whether or not you can make it out of this door will depend on your luck. Come, I have prepared too many things for you at this 7th loop. Of course, before you reach a certain level of strength, you might not be able to take some things. For some things, even if you take them, you might not be able to use them for now. The core of the 7 deadly arrays formation was at this 7th loop. After climbing the stairs of the first 6 loops, finally, he arrived at this 7th loop. Qin Wushuang's mood had calmed down. The first set of treasures I am going to give you is of course weapons. As long as there was a place for cultivation, weapons would always be the most important. You also know that in the 6th ring, I have already given you the 9th Tribulation True Supreme Tao Peak weapon. Therefore, I will give you a total of 30 weapons. Among them, only 10 were the strongest. Any one of these 10 weapons would be enough to kill countless cultivators in the various star zones. At the very least, they are sovereign artifacts. Master God weapon. And it was the weakest of the 10 strongest weapons. The other 20 items are the weapons of the various tribulations of the heavenly supreme path. It's not surprising at all. I didn't prepare it for you, but for your assistant. If you want to soar through the galaxy, defend the profound sky continent, and become an ambitious and ruthless person in the great Luo universe, you must have helpers. Do you understand? The key is still the 10 strongest weapons. 7 of them are for your 7 senior apprentice brothers and senior apprentice sisters. The other 2 were Empyrean artifact. They were a pair of divine swords named Heavenly Branch and Grand Wolf. The last one is the Holy Emperor's divine weapon crafted by me. It's also the Holy Emperor's divine weapon that I never used in the past. 7 Master God weapons, 2 Empyrean artifacts, and 1 Holy Emperor's divine weapon. This first great gift had completely stupefied Qin Wushuang. Clearly, this had surpassed his imagination. He could only digest it by force. Bao Bao was stupefied. Master God weapons, Heavenly Venerable divine weapons, and Holy Emperor divine weapons. These brand new concepts had completely overturned his previous view of power. I have personally enlightened your 7 senior apprentice sisters. They have been reborn after consuming the divine change pill I crafted. Not to mention charging into the Heavenly Venerables, they still have hopes of charging into the Master God position. Of course, this is only a theoretical possibility. It's because the soaring of Galaxia boundary of the Tianxian land has temporarily rendered them incapable of achieving a breakthrough. However, although they may not be able to achieve a breakthrough for now, as long as they keep training, when the soaring of Galaxia boundary is shattered, there will be unexpected returns. Also, if you are willing, you can take them through the transportation channel of the 7th loop and enter the transportation plane I have reserved for you. When you train there, 1 day of work is equivalent to a year in the Tianxian land. You must remember, before you enter the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage, you must not activate that transportation channel. It's because during the transportation process, either you achieve a breakthrough or you get swallowed by the channel directly. You will also implicate your senior apprentice brothers. Therefore, these 7 Master God weapons are also a gift I left for the 7 of them. You must be suspicious as to why I didn't give them to them earlier, but gave them through your hands. In fact, it's simple. Firstly, for this 7 deadly arrays formation, you are the core. You are the one that inherits my legacy. At most, they are your assistants, existences that assist you. For these things, through your hands, you can do them a favor at little cost and make them more loyal to you. Secondly, if you don't enter this formation, I don't want to expose the Master God weapons. Once the Tianxian land is breached by the foreign tribes, they will certainly discover the Master God weapons. By that time, perhaps people will know about my formation and it will attract the attention of all elite warriors. In this case, it will go against my original intention of building the formation here. Qin Wushuang suddenly understood that there was this layer of relationship. It seemed that his teacher did not have much confidence in senior brother and the others to resist the foreign tribes alone. He was worried that the Master God weapons would expose the secret of the formation and his teacher's secret. My disciple, it's not that I am looking down on your 7 senior brothers. I enlightened your 7 senior brothers, I also hope they can grow up. However, under the environment of the Tianxian land, it's impossible for them to grow to a level where they can fight against the foreign tribes. Only you, the one that inherits my legacy, can drive away the foreign tribes. To speak bluntly, even if the God-discarding maze is reconciled, the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples cannot fight against the foreign tribes. You are the only savior of the Tianxian land. Don't doubt my words, I have investigated the foreign tribes. Their strength is far more terrifying than the Tianxian land. If they had attacked the Tianxian land with full force from the beginning, you would not even have the chance to resist. The plane where the foreign tribes reside is related to the master of the great Qian galaxy you are in. They have 2 master gods. It's fine if it's just 2 master gods. The most terrifying part is that once they encounter a setback, it's possible that the master of the galaxy will be drawn out. That is the existence at the heavenly warrior level. Bao Bao stuck out his tongue and whispered, "Boss, the Tianxian land is too unlucky. How could they have caught the fancy of such monstrous foreign tribes?" The foreign tribes you call in the Tianxian land are not called foreign tribes. They also have their own plane. The plane they are in is called the Wind and Cloud land. The 2 master gods, one is called the Wind Master God and the other is called the Cloud Master God. These 2 guys, one male and one female, are related to the heavenly warriors of the great Qian galaxy. Wind and Cloud land. Qin Wushuang repeated it lightly and remembered this name. The term foreign tribes was too general. It would be troublesome to investigate them in the future. With this foundation, it would be easier to investigate this Wind and Cloud land. My disciple, the Wind and Cloud land is a plane with a master. If you want to deal with them, you cannot act rashly. If you do, you will certainly anger the master of the galaxy and even involve existences at the level of the Holy Emperor. Although the entire great Luo universe follows the law of the jungle, it is implemented within the boundaries of the rules. Unless you are powerful enough to ignore the existence of many Holy Emperor, you must not trample on the rules openly. The reason why the Wind and Cloud land dares to bully you guys so openly is because the Tianxian land does not have a master of the plane. You are not registered at the Great Qian Galaxy. If you are registered at the Great Qian Galaxy, you can be counted as an official member of the Galaxy Alliance. Even if the Wind and Cloud land wants to deal with you guys, they must use the rules and not invade by force and act as bandits in public. Rules. Qin Wushuang carefully experienced these 2 words. He was not unfamiliar with this. In his previous world on Earth, it was the same between countries. Under a system, barbaric invasions would gradually be eliminated and no one would use it anymore. However, to deal with a country under the system, one could also use the loopholes in the rules of the game and achieve a dignified strike through various channels. To put it bluntly, it still depended on one's strength. The stronger one's strength, the stronger one's ability to operate. By grasping the loopholes in the rules, one could start a fight. For those with weak strength, even if there were a lot of loopholes, it would be difficult for them to protect themselves. How could they have the time to scheme against others? Alright, let's not talk about these digressions for now. The weapon is the first great gift. As for the second great gift, naturally it is the heavenly divine battle armor, which is roughly the same as the weapon. My disciple, I must tell you, regardless of the weapon or battle armor of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, you must not use it within the scope of the genuine supreme Tao stage. It will only harm you. As long as you enter the heavenly supreme Tao stage, you can even use the Holy Emperor's weapon. This is a type of rule. Even if you are at the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage, you cannot use it. It is because the rules of the heavenly supreme Tao stage are completely different from the genuine supreme Tao stage. Once you enter the heavenly supreme Tao stage, even if it is the first calamity, you can use the Holy Emperor's divine weapon. Of course, the power of the weapon must be discussed separately. These heavenly divine battle armor and heavenly divine battle armor are actually prepared for your future. Qin Wushuang silently remembered. He would never ignore his teacher's teachings. The third great gift has also appeared in the previous round. That is, free fighters. No matter if it is the purple flame electric beast or the 12 sealed scrolls, they are all free fighters. Now, what I am going to gift you this time is the Heavenly Supreme Tao Stage Heavenly Divine Puppets. The strength of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage Heavenly Divine Puppets is not to be underestimated. Each Heavenly Supreme Tao stage Heavenly Divine Puppet's fighting ability is exactly the same as a real person. They will allow you to control them as you wish. But I must tell you in advance. At most, I have prepared 6 Heavenly Supreme Tao stage Heavenly Divine Puppets for you. But there are no Master God puppets. It's not that I can't get them, but the identity of the Master God is very special. Once they go missing, it will cause panic and inconvenience. So, I didn't take the risk. I have also prepared 12 Heavenly Supreme Tao stage Heavenly Divine Puppets for you. Your 12 sealed spirit beasts will be able to regain their freedom once they reach this place. I will give you the incantation to undo the seal. Qin Wushuang had promised the 12 sealed scrolls that he would definitely restore their freedom. Now, hearing his teacher's arrangement, he was greatly impressed. His teacher's thoughts were indeed meticulous. With his powerful strength, it was really rare for him to care about a few little spiritual beasts. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 895. Although there were no Master God puppets, Qin Wushuang still felt very comfortable with Empyrean God puppet. This was really a generous gift. For Qin Wushuang, what he lacked the most now was manpower. Especially when the foreign tribes invaded and the Starry River boundary was about to be broken, Empyrean Supreme Tao experts were very useful. One more Empyrean Supreme Tao expert was one more safeguard. These 12 Empyrean God puppets are different from ordinary sealed puppet. They can evolve. Their cultivation speed is the same as ordinary cultivators. There is no problem at all. You don't have to worry about their equipment and weapons. They are all equipped. This kind of fighter can be summoned at will and can fight. Haha, you must be satisfied, right? Disciple, you can let these Empyrean God puppets cultivate the 9 palaces to 1 sword formation of the 6th ring. I can tell you clearly that if 9 6th Tribulation Empyrean God puppets use this sword formation, even a Master God will be at a disadvantage. Qin Wushuang's heart trembled. The 9 palaces to 1 sword formation could still be cultivated at the 6th Tribulation Empyrean Supreme Tao level. It seemed that the power of this sword formation was indeed extraordinary. Similarly, if you have 9 masters to use this sword formation together, even a heavenly venerable will have to flee at the mere sight of it. Li Xianfeng was very proud. Of course, you don't have to think too much. Currently, 9 masters is just a pipe dream for you. These 12 Empyrean God puppets also don't have the potential to break through to the Master God realm. However, their cultivation is relatively balanced. At least they are at the 3rd Tribulation Empyrean Supreme Tao level. Most are at the 4th or 5th Tribulation Empyrean Supreme Tao level. 2 of them are at the 6th Tribulation Empyrean Supreme Tao level. They are advanced Empyrean gods. With these Empyrean God puppets, Qin Wushuang was much more confident. Unfortunately, these Empyrean God puppets still required Qin Wushuang to be at the Empyrean Supreme Tao level before he could control them. Otherwise, he would suffer a backlash. Of course, this was also because of the Empyrean Supreme Tao rules. In this way, Qin Wushuang was even more motivated to break through to the Empyrean Supreme Tao level. The 4th gift is a divine ability called the Heavenly Dipper Earthly Fiend Transformation Divine Ability. This divine ability is also a necessary divine ability for you to roam the great Luo universe. This divine ability would allow you to achieve twice the result with half the effort when roaming the great Luo universe. Once you cultivate this divine ability, you can transform into any form and soul at will. Every time you go to a plane, you can imitate the form and soul of that plane's cultivators so that you don't look like an outsider. You know, just like your Tianxian land, many planes reject foreign martial artists. After all, only a heavenly supreme Tao elite could cross planes. For a heavenly supreme Tao expert to appear in someone else's territory, it is inevitable that they will be on guard. Qin Wushuang had no doubts about this. He, my disciple, now that you are here, you must be wondering why there is no cultivation method in the gift I prepared for you. Let me tell you, when you reach the heavenly supreme Tao stage, every move is no longer important. The key is the comprehension of the laws. How much power of the rules you can integrate, how much power you can create, it all depends on your comprehension of the rules and the degree to which you can use them in your attack. Moves are dead. Only by comprehending the rules can you learn and use them flexibly. In terms of cultivation technique, the Great Five Attributes Reincarnation Seal will not be outdated even if you train to the peak of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. For the Great Five Attributes Reincarnation Seal, Qin Wushuang had only cultivated to the third profound stage. He had yet to completely comprehend the third profound stage. Qin Wushuang nodded silently as if he was deep in thought. Although he had yet to enter the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, at the genuine Supreme Tao stage, when he was training the Great Five Attributes Reincarnation Seal, he already had a similar feeling. Before the rules, the changes in moves were clearly not as important as before. This did not mean that moves were not needed. On the contrary, moves would play an outstanding role in battle. However, the key to the usage of moves was the integration with the rules. Alright, my disciple, although the next gift I am giving you is not the main thing, to you, it is indispensable. For example, a big map. There are also various anecdotes and records of the great Luo universe. There is absolutely no harm in learning more about these things. There are also various major languages of the great Luo universe that you must learn. Of course, things like languages are generally similar. It is very easy to learn. Qin Wushuang was quite touched. Although this master was a peerless expert, he was meticulous and considerate. It could be said that he had resolved many of his worries in advance. There were too many things in the seventh ring. Qin Wushuang slowly digested them. At this moment, Li Xuanfeng's voice sounded again. It was clearly much deeper than before. Lastly, I must tell you that the wisp of chaotic qi that I seized from the chaotic great Luo primordial realm. It is sealed in the seventh ring of the formation. At the very least, your cultivation must be at the peak of the ninth tribulation heavenly supreme Tao stage, to be able to make all the holy emperor look up to you. Only then can you unlock the seal of this wisp of chaotic qi. Remember, this is chaotic qi, it is not an ordinary thing. If you do not control it well, not to mention the Tianxian land, the entire star field, the entire small universe, and many other small universes around it may collapse instantly. This is not an exaggeration to scare you. Don't think that this chaotic qi can be obtained easily. It is said that in the reproduction of the great Luo universe, only a wisp of chaotic qi can be nurtured in every boundless calamity. One boundless calamity lasts for 981 billion years. One boundless calamity and 10,000 small boundless calamities. You can imagine how rare this chaotic qi is. One boundless calamity lasts for 801 billion years. Since the great Luo universe has operated until now, it has experienced many boundless calamities. Countless people have tried their luck. But how many people have truly obtained the chaotic qi? How many people have obtained the chaotic qi and achieved the supreme great Luo realm? At the moment, this is still a mystery. My disciple, if this chaotic qi is not guided well, it will form an explosion. Perhaps the destructive explosion will form a new universe. Perhaps it will return everything to the original state. This is something that no one knows. No one has witnessed it with their own eyes, and no one dares to try it. This was natural. This kind of consequence was not something that any person could bear. This was already somewhat close to the original state of the universe. Qin Wushuang recalled the saying about the original state of the universe in his previous life. It was said that it came from the Big Bang of the universe. It seemed that this chaotic qi was not completely without basis. My disciple, before you have confidence in this chaotic qi, don't touch it, and don't even try to fuse it. The energy contained in the chaotic qi is not something that you can imagine. Remember, there was no need to explain this. Qin Wushuang would not be so impulsive to the point of refining the chaotic qi. He was not arrogant to that extent. All right, my good disciple, what I can teach you, I have already taught you. Before entering the heavenly supreme Tao stage, you can choose to cultivate here. Although this place is not suitable for the cultivation of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, for the cultivators of the true supreme Tao stage, one day here is at least 100 days in the outside world. I don't ask much of you. If you wish to live and die in the future, reincarnate, and seize good fortune, you can consider reviving me. But you don't have to force yourself. After all, you have not refined the chaotic qi, so it is impossible for you to master these supreme rules. If you can't do it, don't force it. I only hope that when your cultivation reaches my level in the future, you can go to my hometown, the Kidu Star of the 9 luminaries, to take a look. It is a beautiful place. Qin Wushuang silently remembered these and said in his heart, Master, please rest assured. I will definitely do as you wish. Go, complete my unfinished business. Don't have any misgivings. When you live to 1,000,000 years old, you will find that the length of life no longer has much meaning. The width and breadth of life is what you should pursue. Li Xuanfeng's last words were thought-provoking. When Qin Wushuang heard it, it was like the evening drum and morning bell in his ears. He was deeply inspired and deeply moved. Yes, after living to 1,000,000 years old, how much meaning does the length of life have? Living for another 1,000,000 years, a few million years, or even a few 100 million years is nothing more than a simple continuation. Eternal life was a beautiful topic. However, if one truly acquired eternal life, would one not get tired of repeating it day after day? Those who yearned for eternal life would always be those ordinary people who did not even have the luxury of living to 100 years old. Boss, your teacher is too powerful, right? Bao Bao also took a long breath and gave a long sigh. This time, he was truly convinced. Qin Wushuang laughed. Elite warriors at the peak of the heavenly supreme Tao stage are rare existences in the entire great Luo universe. Of course, they are powerful. Bao Bao did not argue, but gave a long sigh. I wonder how many little universes there are in this great Luo universe and how many heavenly martial holy emperors there are. Even if we know how many little universes there are, we might not know how many heavenly martial holy emperors there are. For sure, only the heavenly martial holy emperor can become the master of a little universe. However, not all holy emperors who trained to the 9th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage are qualified to become the master of a little universe. Look at my teacher, he has high talent, right? He did not become the master of a little universe. He only said that if he could endure for a few more million years, perhaps he could rule a little universe. Unfortunately, my teacher is a person who cannot endure loneliness. Bao Bao agreed with Li Xuanfeng's thought. Boss, after living for 1,000,000 years, I'm already tired of it. It's monotonous to follow the rules every day. I feel that there's nothing wrong with your teacher daring to take risk. If it were me, for sure I would do the same. While these two were talking, the 5-colored divine lights kept shooting out from the entire formation. When they interweaved, they lit up the entire space. Those treasures sealed in the surroundings also kept being unsealed. They cracked open from the surrounding mountain walls and revealed their true bodies. Qin Wushuang took them all and put them into his storage space. The miraculous nature was apparent. For this 7th loop, not to mention a plane like the Tian Xianland, even if it was placed in a little universe, it would be enough to drive all the martial artists of the entire universe crazy. Chapter 896. Now, Qin Wushuang had completely calmed down. Currently, these treasures, including the heavenly god puppet, could not be activated. Qin Wushuang was not greedy. Instead, he took out the 7 master god weapons. As for the rest, including the heavenly god armor, the heavenly god puppet, and the heavenly dipper earthly fiend transformation technique, he left them untouched. Now, he had not soared to the Galaxia and had not broken through. It would be useless to take these things. It would be safer to leave them here. However, Qin Wushuang had brought those strange stories, maps, and the common language with him. What made Qin Wushuang extremely satisfied was that among the equipment of the heavenly divine battle armor, there were a few rings that could be used as storage equipment. Compared to the storage space of the secular world, it was the difference between heaven and earth. Among them, the Holy Emperor equipment used by his teacher, Li Xianfeng, was fully equipped. Including the storage space, it could hold an entire plane. One could even say that one ring was an entire world. This was simply breathtaking. Of course, Qin Wushuang could only look at it now. Without the power of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, he could not activate these things. Qin Wushuang wandered around the core of the formation again. He already knew where the terrifying chaotic qi was sealed. He would not touch it easily. This thing was more terrifying than a time bomb. If he was not careful, once it exploded, only God knew what kind of scene it would be. By that time, the Tianxian land, the Fengyun land of the foreign tribes, and the great Qian starfield would all turn into ashes. Not even a scrap would be left. On the other hand, his teacher's divine soul had been completely sealed. Only a wisp of divine soul consciousness existed and was different from the entire divine soul. If it was the entire divine soul, he only needed to find a physical body to be reborn. However, now that his divine soul was scattered, it meant that he had to reassemble it. This was too difficult. However, Qin Wushuang was not discouraged. Inwardly, he made up his mind that as long as there was a glimmer of hope, he would never give up. Boss, this place is so rich in spiritual energy. It's a cultivation platform that your master left for you. It's practically a cheat-level existence. Since there are still 3 months before the god discarding door opens, why don't we cultivate here for 2 months? Since Bao Bao had rarely encountered such a devilish training place, of course he would not let it go. Qin Wushuang was even more anxious than Bao Bao. After all, his master had made it clear that cultivating here for 1 day was equivalent to cultivating for 100 days in the outside world. With such a freakish speed, even if he only cultivated for 2 months, it was still very impressive. If 1 day was equivalent to 100 days, 2 months would be equivalent to 200 months. Nearly 20 years was enough for them to do a lot of things. For 2 months, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao were like greedy Taotais as they absorbed the supreme Tao power in this space to their heart's content. They refined their bodies and refined their divine souls. Naturally, the harvest was huge. Not only had Qin Wushuang completely grasped the 3rd level of the profound mysteries of the great 5 elements samsara seal, he had also increased the strength of his tribulation. From the 4th calamity of the true supreme Tao stage to the 5th calamity of the true supreme Tao stage. In 2 months, he had increased his strength by 1 tribulation. Although 1 day was equivalent to 100 days, if the elite warriors of the outside world were to learn about the speed of upgrading from the 4th calamity to the 5th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage in 20 years, most likely their jaws would drop to the ground. Clearly, this was too exaggerated. Of course, it was also because the supreme Tao power inside Qin Wushuang's body was of the same origin as the 5-colored divine light. They all came from Li Xuanfeng's training essence. To put it bluntly, it was a form of memory recovery. One could say that such training was blessed by nature and outsiders could not replicate it. Bao Bao's bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey also allowed him to gain a lot during training. He had also increased his strength by 1 level and entered the second calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Boss, let's make a deal. When we come out of the god discarding door, you must bring me here. Haha, this place is too great. If you give me 10 years, perhaps I can also train to your level. If you give me 50 years, perhaps I can also become an existence at the level of the Paramount Totem Elite Warriors? Haha, that's easy. However, Bao Bao, can't you have a bigger ambition? Could it be that the Paramount Totem Elite Warrior is your limit? Haha. Bao Bao scratched his head. Boss, could it be that I am also qualified to make a dash for the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage? Bao Bao, if you want to be my brother, just wait to be spurred on by me. Don't think about slacking off. Bao Bao said excitedly, Boss, I know that I will always gain a lot of benefits by following you. The first time I saw you at the Monkey King Mountain, I felt that you were a great lucky star. Bao Bao, since your ancestor is the spiritual monkey from the immemorial era, perhaps he is also at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. If your ancestor could do it, why can't you do it? Besides, we can go to other planes to train. Could it be that you don't want to surpass your ancestor and achieve something that your Gold Monkey King clan never achieved? Bao Bao blinked his eyes and looked at Qin Wushuang. His eyes revealed an excited expression. Boss, you mean, I can make a dash for the Master God stage? Master God? Qin Wushuang revealed a light smile. The Master God stage is definitely not the limit for you and me. With a great teacher at the level of the Holy Emperor, if we don't train to the level of the Holy Emperor, how could we face him? Boss, you are his disciple, I am not. You have such a good foundation. Your master has already paved the way for you. Bao Bao, with the path paved, I am not the only one who can walk it. Remember, if I achieve the strength of the Holy Emperor, I can also enlighten you guys. Bao Bao's eyes lit up. Yes, yes, your teacher is the Holy Emperor, he can turn stone into gold. In the future, you will surpass him, for sure you will be even more powerful. Bao Bao, don't tell the outside world about this place for now. Alright. Bao Bao answered. Suddenly, he asked again, what if Senior Lone and Fire Kylan ask? Tell them that when their cultivation base reaches the true Supreme Tao stage, they can experience it for themselves. Don't ask about it. All right. Bao Bao chuckled. Boss, please do me a favor. In the future, if I train to the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, you must let me pick one of the 20 Heavenly Supreme Tao weapons besides your Master God weapons. No need for this. Although there are only 7 Master God weapons, if we are to go out and adventure in the future, not to mention Heavenly Supreme Tao weapons, I will work hard to find Master God weapons for you. Excitement shone from Bao Bao's eyes. He scratched his ears and cheeks for he was incredibly happy. Alright, Bao Bao, we must leave. The god discarding door is about to open. I think people of the Qin clan are also anxious? The two of them returned to the formation platform and started their return journey. For this 7th loop, they did not need to worry about people entering by mistake like the previous few loops. The setup of this 7th loop was not something anyone from the Tian Xian land could find. Even if they were to enter by accident, before the powerful Heavenly Supreme Tao defenses, they would only face death. Along the way, they returned to the 4th loop of the Xian Yuan Mound through the transportation formation. They left the Tortoise King Mountain and returned to the Aspiring Throne Mountain in less than a day. For the Qin clan, naturally they were endlessly overjoyed when they saw the return of the head chief. With the head chief here, the Qin clan would have a backbone. Chief Yunran, Chongyang, during this time, did the Golden Crow come to make a ruckus? Head chief, in these 2 months everything has been calm and peaceful. It seems all powerhouses have reached a mutual understanding and are waiting for the opening of the god discarding door. This is good. Everyone get ready, be ready to go at any time. Deep inside the endless eastern sea, in the rushing current valley area, the golden crow was surrounded by a group of different divine beasts at the core area. Your Highness, at the Illusion Heavenly Lake, the Karakoram Immortal Sect and those first-rate Taoist sects have already gathered. They are ready to depart at any time. The situation at the extreme north snow zone is almost the same. At the Heavenly Fire southern border, the Fire God clan lost their paramount totem elite warrior and is rather chaotic. However, the totem elite warrior of the Divine Farmer clan has extremely powerful rallying power. They have already stabilized the situation at the southern border and are ready to depart. At the Eastern Sea, the core of the 18 dragon clans have always been at the first-rate Dragon Palace. The Forefather Dragon clan is also preparing to depart with them. The Xian Yuan clan is the closest to the human countries. They have not gathered yet, but they will be soon. The last one to answer was indeed Saber-Beard. When the Golden Crow heard all the reports, he nodded slightly. He stopped to look at Saber-Beard for a moment. Saber-Beard, last time you caused so much trouble and almost exposed your identity. You have ruined our great plan. Saber-Beard was extremely ashamed. Your Highness, that Xian Tianwen is a good-for-nothing. If he didn't drop the ball at the most crucial moment, this embarrassing matter would not have happened. Perhaps I have already acquired an advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. The Golden Crow shook his head. It's not that easy. The advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate is even stricter in the inspection of your identity. Saber-Beard, your background is unknown. Even if you have acquired the soaring Galaxia commanding plate, I am afraid they will not let you in. Saber-Beard gave a helpless sigh. Your Highness, that controller of the god discarding door is truly tyrannical. Could it be that those totem powerhouses cannot do anything to him? The Golden Crow also had limited knowledge of the god discarding door. He said with a bitter smile, "It seems that the totem powerhouses are restraining their fear of that controller. As for whether or not he is at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, it's hard to say. In principle, he should not be at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. It's because it's impossible for someone at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage to appear in the Tianxian land. In the past, those at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage all went to seal the soaring Galaxia barrier. However, there are always many cunning people at the Tianxian land. It's hard to say if an accident were to happen. Your Highness, then what should we do? Could it be we are still going to watch them go in? This time, we can't hold back anymore. If we miss this opportunity, we will have to wait for a few thousand years. By that time, when the soaring Galaxia barrier shatters, we will not have the chance to make contributions. It will not set off our contributions. The Golden Crow nodded. Since we can't, we can only take the risk. This time, I will go out myself and see what that controller wants. Could it be that, if they can have the soaring Galaxia commanding plate, I can't? Your Highness, I am afraid it's not appropriate for you to go out yourself. The reason why that controller is so strict with the identity verification, it must be to guard against spies from the outside. Or else, since we are all martial artists of the Tianxian land, why would they investigate so strictly? I think they have some tricks up their sleeves. If you go, most likely you will expose yourself. The Golden Crow said with an eerie smile, "It doesn't matter if I can't get it. I already arranged a few spies and successfully infiltrated their team. I acquired 4 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. As long as one of them successfully infiltrates, they will release those seniors sealed in the god-discarding maze. Ha. By that time, with attacks from both inside and outside, it would be difficult for the Tianxian land not to perish." As soon as he spoke these words, each of the beast clans around him felt their blood surging. Endless vicious lights flashed across their eyes as they were extremely excited. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 897. The Golden Crow was naturally cunning. Since he said it this way, of course the other beast clans believed him without a doubt. In fact, these beast clans were the seeds of the beast clan that the wind and cloud land brought in tens and thousands of years ago. Tens and thousands of years ago, they only had the bloodline of the divine clan and had not hatched. Besides the golden crow that existed tens and thousands of years ago, the other divine beasts had slowly hatched with the passage of time. Only, the divine souls of these divine beasts had been brainwashed by the wind and cloud land since a young age. Naturally, it was reasonable for them to work for the wind and cloud land. Regarding the god discarding door, for tens and thousands of years, there were countless versions of rumors. For the elite warriors of the Tian Xian land, only a small number of people had participated in the opening of the god discarding door a few thousand years ago. Besides some elite warriors of the totem clans, not many were left. This time, the gathering place was a place that no one had imagined, the human countries. The human countries, a place that the Tian Xian land had always viewed as a chicken rib, had become the focus of this opening of the god discarding door. Regarding the location of the god discarding door, many totem elite warriors knew that there were different entrances. In the hidden places of each major forbidden spiritual zones, not all of those totem elite warriors knew about it. However, the human countries also had an entrance to the god discarding door? This question lingered in everyone's head. On the contrary, Qin Wushuang had always been calm and collected. He knew that senior brother Li Bai must have had his reasons when he wandered around the human countries. Qin Wushuang was rather curious. If there was an entrance to the god discarding door in the human countries, where would it be? Under the leadership of the totem clans of each major forbidden spiritual zones, almost all elite warriors of the Tian Xian land had poured out and appeared in the human countries. The human countries had welcomed the biggest pageant in history. 100 years ago, the structure of the human countries was dominated by the 9 Palace faction, the Emperor Buddha Palace, and the 9 Raven Temple. Later on, the 9 Palace faction was defeated by the Stargaze Palace and established a new tripartite balance of power. Later on, the Stargaze Palace rose strongly and almost became the undisputed leader of the human countries. In the recent years, the Stargaze Palace had successfully marched into the Xian Yuan Mound. However, the legacy of the Stargaze Palace in the human countries had not been extinguished. The 5 palace masters supported a portion of the core disciples and continued to nurture their strength in the Stargaze Palace. Their strength was on par with the Emperor Buddha Palace and the 9 Raven Temple. They still maintained the balance of power and firmly grasped the situation in the eastern part of the human countries in their hands. They would not allow other sects to have a chance to get involved. Of course, the elite warriors from the Stargaze Palace that had already entered the Xian Yuan Mound could not participate in the affairs of the human countries directly. This was the bottom line of the human countries. What Qin Wushuang never expected was that the gathering place this time was actually the Great Song Mountain. The Great Song Mountains was the place where Qin Wushuang had started his training. It was a treasured land that nurtured the Eastwood Qin. The Great Song Mountains, which stretched for thousands of miles, could not be considered vast, but it gave Qin Wushuang a feeling of motherly love. Unexpectedly, senior brother Li Bai had asked all sects to gather at the Great Song Mountains. Although the gathering place was far away from Qin Wushuang's cave, if someone wanted to investigate, they could easily find that cave. However, up to this point, Qin Wushuang was not worried that someone would discover this cave at the second loop. It could be said that even if he was discovered, he would not care. He had already explored the 7 deadly arrays formation to the 7th loop and grasped all the mysteries. Without Qin Wushuang's divine power to activate the transportation circle, it would be impossible for outsiders to explore the mysteries of the 7 deadly arrays formation. To put it bluntly, this 7 deadly arrays formation was only an ordinary cave. However, Qin Wushuang still held deep feelings for the Great Song Mountains. He would not allow anyone to step into this cave and taint the sacred place of the 7 deadly arrays formation. When the Qin clan heard about the gathering place, and heard that it was close to the Eastwood Qin clan, each of them was incredibly curious. They wanted to see it and witness the rise of the head chief. Qin Wushuang was not pretentious as he took the people of the Qin clan to set up camp at the heavenly royal mansion. Although the people of this mansion had already retreated, the Bayou country would not remove the mansion as well. On the contrary, the royal family would use all methods to maintain the heavenly royal mansion to perfection. For such a major backer, the Bayou country could not fawn over them even in their dreams. Qin Wushuang revisited the old place and took Murong Su to wander around the back of the mountain. Suddenly, he moved his brow and carried a smile on the corner of his mouth. "Senior brother, you still have time to wait for me here?" Before the cliff ahead, Li Bai stood there with a faint smile. He said leisurely, "Wushuang, I just want to see what the formation set up by my teacher looks like. Although this Great Song Mountain is not a towering mountain that stretches for hundreds of thousands of miles, it has a rich foundation." Wushuang, I am afraid you never imagined that this place is the biggest entrance to the God Discarding Door, right? The biggest entrance. Li Bai said seriously, "That's right. This time, perhaps it will be the last time the God Discarding Door will be opened, and the biggest one. It's still unknown whether the Tianxian land can hold on until the next opening of the God Discarding Door. Therefore, this time, we must open all mazes from all directions." Qin Wushuang asked thoughtfully, "Senior brother, this way, the entrance here can lead to all 12 levels of the maze?" "That's right. Previously at the endless Eastern Sea, you were swept into the God Discarding Maze by the space turbulence. In fact, that place is also an entrance. However, at most, that entrance can only allow you to enter the 8th maze." Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. Indeed, Senior's style is extraordinary. "Senior brother, are the other senior brothers all here?" Li Bai said, "Just these 2 days. It will take a few more days for the God Discarding Door to open officially. When they are all here, it will be about time." "Yes, eldest senior brother, Master has left behind some things for you. I already brought it out from there. Since the other senior brothers are not here yet, you can give it to them." Li Bai shook his head with a smile. "Wushuang, teacher has his reasons for asking you to do a favor. You should give it to them. I'll only take my share." Qin Wushuang laughed. "All right, fortunately, teacher marked each gift, so he would not give it to the wrong person. Senior brother, this starry cloud whip is for you." The starry cloud whip was not a long soft whip, but a hard one. As soon as he took it out, instantly, this starry cloud whip gave off the feeling of being surrounded by stars. The rich starry qi made all the colors in the surroundings become bright and vibrant. It gave off a feeling of great achievement. Li Bai took it and waved it lightly. His expression changed slightly and a strange light shone from his pupils. "Master God Weapon?" Qin Wushuang nodded leisurely. "Since teacher left it at the end, certainly it will not be ordinary. Senior brother, this is also teacher's expectation for you guys. He hopes that in the future, you guys will have enough qualifications to not bring disgrace to these weapons." Li Bai put away his usual cheerful expression and said with a serious expression, "For teacher's great favor, us as his disciples are truly unable to repay him. Wushuang, you are teacher's inheritor, you will supervise the 7 of us. We will work hard and not let down teacher's great favor." "Senior brother, teacher also has some other instructions. When the major matter of the God Discarding Door is finished, we will discuss it at length." "All right." Now Li Bai could no longer see Qin Wushuang as that little junior brother that needed to be taken care of. Instead, he saw him as the inheritor of his teacher's legacy, the core figure. "Wushuang, you have inherited all of teacher's legacy. I am afraid this God-discarding door is meaningless to you. However, you still must not let down your guard," Li Bai warned earnestly. He was afraid that Qin Wushuang would become arrogant and let down his guard at the god-discarding maze. After all, Qin Wushuang was only at the 5th calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. He had not reached the stage where he could do whatever he wanted. Even Paramount Totem elite warriors would have to be careful inside, and would not dare to neglect the slightest. Paramount Totem elite warriors would face the danger of losing their lives, not to mention the 5th calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Haha, senior brother, don't worry. I will pay attention to the god-discarding door. Teacher left behind 7 master god weapons. I hope you guys can practice them soon. With the master god weapons, it will allow you to challenge elite warriors above the 2nd level, right? Li Bai nodded. Yes, if I can unleash the power of the master god weapons, I have the confidence to fight against those at the 5th calamity of the heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Murong Su smacked his tongue inwardly when he heard this. Yes, senior brother, these master god weapons are also trump cards for the Tianxian land to deal with the foreign tribes in the future. You must dig out their greatest potential. As for training, teacher left a way out, so don't worry too much. Although 10,000 years is not long as we manage it well, surely we can beat away the foreign tribes. Li Bai laughed. I believe in teacher's work without a doubt. 3 days later, the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples gathered. For the first time, Qin Wushuang attended the gathering of their little circle as the core figure of Li Xuanfeng's line. Naturally, the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples were extremely respectful to Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang did not neglect them as he got along happily with everyone. Naturally, those master god weapons made everyone incredibly happy. Everyone was overjoyed. Qin Wushuang was neither arrogant nor rash. His steady and magnanimous personality made the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples think highly of him. Finally, the god-discarding door that was on the verge of appearing welcomed the time to open. All 300 elite warriors from the Tianxian land had arrived. Each forbidden spiritual zone had 60 soaring Galaxia commanding plate. The 5 forbidden spiritual zones had a total of 300 soaring Galaxia commanding plate. For the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples, besides Li Bai, the others still did not show their faces and remained mysterious. Li Bai revealed a light smile and swept across everyone with his eyes. Everyone, after a few thousand years, besides a few familiar faces, the rest of the 300 faces are all unfamiliar. What does this mean? It means that the Supreme Tao elite warriors of the Tianxian land have weak vitality. A Supreme Tao elite warrior should have extremely strong vitality. Each time the god-discarding door opens, there are many fortuitous opportunities. Why is it that only a few survive? Have you all reflected on this problem? Li Bai's words were thought-provoking. Like a great bell, it rang in everyone's mind. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 898. Indeed, this was a question worthy of deep thought. For tens of thousands of years, the god-discarding door had been opened at least 10 times. Each time, it had its own fortuitous opportunities. In theory, even if elite warriors of the heavenly Supreme Tao stage did not appear, there should be many elite warriors of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. However, across the entire world, besides the totem powerhouses, ordinary first-rate powerhouses had at most 1 or 2 genuine Supreme Tao stage warriors. Many of those elite warriors who gained benefits from the god-discarding door could not pass through the Supreme Tao calamities safely. They kept falling. Therefore, for tens and thousands of years, not only did the number of Supreme Tao elite warriors in the Tianxian land not increase, it kept decreasing. Of course, all of this was related to the soaring of Galaxia barrier. In the end, it was due to the lack of good seedlings and geniuses from the sections. Everyone, this time, it can be said to be the grandest one in the history of the God Discarding Door. It's 100% open. Once you enter, you will have the chance to touch the ultimate secret of the God Discarding Door. The first group will explore the first 4 levels of the God Discarding Maze. Those with the primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate can prepare. The second batch is from the 5th to 8th levels of the God Discarding Labyrinth. The first 4 levels of the labyrinth do not mean much to you. Wait for 4 months before it's your turn. Li Bai continued to speak. The third group will be top elite warriors with the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. They will explore the 9th to 12th maze. This is the core area of the entire God Discarding Maze. Before that, all holders of Starry River badges, please submit all your proof of identity and origin to us for review. This was a necessary procedure. Under the organization of each totem powerhouse, soon these identity documents were collected. Li Bai started to review them unhurriedly. No one at the scene dared to reveal an impatient expression as they only waited patiently. Everyone knew that there was only one person who would decide whether they could enter the God Discarding Door. It would be this controller before them. He had the absolute qualifications. After Li Bai looked through the 300 identity documents for about 2 hours, he glanced over some of them and read through some seriously. Although Li Bai was expressionless, each of his movements made everyone at the scene shudder with fear. They were afraid that Li Bai would eliminate anyone who was unreliable. 2 hours later, he had finished reading all 300 books. A trace of a strange smile emerged from the corner of Li Bai's mouth. He glanced across the entire scene with a somewhat playful gaze and patted the 300 certificates on his hand. Basically, there are no problems. However, 3 of you cannot go in. For these 3 spots, 2 are from the Heavenly Fire southern border and 1 is from the Endless Eastern Sea. Yes, 2 of them were holders of intermediate galaxy tokens, and 1 was a holder of advanced galaxy tokens. On this occasion, there was no need to call out names. The Supreme Totem Elite Warriors in your area will inform you individually. The martial artists of the Heavenly Fire southern border and Endless Eastern Sea clearly showed a sluggish expression. 3 spots? Would it be his turn to be so unlucky? Qin Wushuang watched this scene with an expressionless face. He did not show any signs of intimacy with Li Bai. He knew that his relationship with Li Bai could only exist within the small circle of the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples. For the time being, it must not be announced to the public. Who knows, there might be spies among these 300 people. Now, indeed, 3 spots were removed. Regardless of whether they were spies or not, it would be best to be careful. Suddenly, Qin Wushuang felt a few complicated gazes focused on his face from the east. He turned his head to look, and it was the Amei Taoist sect. An elegant and refined voice emerged. Dressed in a set of plain training clothes, it was difficult for her to shine among the crowd. Especially that pure and flawless face, that pair of eyes as pure as the autumn water seemed like a clear spring that had never been polluted. It made one feel tender affection when they looked at her. Shui Ruolin. A few dozen years had passed since they parted at the Illusion Heavenly Lake. This Shui Ruolin was the same as in the past. 30 or 40 years of time seemed to have only passed by her in 30 or 40 days. She did not leave any traces of time. The instant when Shui Ruolin's eyes met with Qin Wushuang, she revealed a trace of shy joy. Female Celestial Miao Yun gave a cold snort from the side and caused Shui Ruolin's tender body to tremble slightly. Then, she understood that her teacher was on the side and could only turn her face away. Inside her heart, bursts of ripples kept spreading. When Qin Wushuang saw female Celestial Miao Yun's repulsive expression, he felt disgusted inwardly and no longer paid attention to her. He only felt that for such a pure and flawless girl like Shui Rulin to have such a narrow-minded teacher like female celestial Miao Yun, it was truly a killjoy. On the side of the endless eastern sea, the Shang Yi couple also walked over and greeted Qin Wushuang. Mi Jia and Yi Qian of the Pu Lao clan also walked over since they shared some friendship with Qin Wushuang. Initially, the Horned Dragon clan Mi Jia belonged to was sworn enemies with Shang Ye's Coiled Dragon clan. However, because of Qin Wushuang, the young people of the two clans did not view each other with too much hostility. Qin Wushuang went up to welcome them with a smile. "Brother Shang Yi, long time no see, you have improved a lot." Shang Yi laughed. "Compared to you, it's nothing. How about it, how's the preparation this time? The god-discarding maze is so mysterious, there's nothing to prepare. We only need to see how we perform on the spot. Boss Shang Yi, how many spots did your Coiled Dragon clan get this time?" "Ha, we have 5 spots this time. Therefore, we have the opportunity to enter the god-discarding door. Or else, it would not have been our turn." Qin Wushuang laughed and looked at Mi Jia. "Little sorceress, your complexion looks good. Have you harmed the young dragon masters of the Eastern Sea recently? Especially brother Yi Qian, did you bully him?" Yi Qian immediately said, "Brother Wushuang, Miss Mi Jia is very easygoing now, she will not bully people, ha." Mi Jia glared at Yi Qian. "You talk too much, be careful, I will pull out your tongue." Yi Qian chuckled and did not dare to say anything more. It was apparent that he was restraining his fear of Mi Jia. After a few dozen years, clearly these young people of the Eastern Sea had also grown up. Each of them had their own responsibilities. Each of them acquired a primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate and acquired the qualification to explore the first 4 levels of the maze. Mi Jia was almost qualified to acquire the intermediate soaring Galaxia commanding plate. However, to be conservative, the patriarch of the Horned Dragon clan did not give her the intermediate soaring Galaxia commanding plate. "1 spot from your Eastern Sea got disqualified, certainly there will be a substitute. I just don't know who will get that spot. I am too lazy to care. No matter what, 1 spot will not be given to the Horned Dragon clan. Certainly the Forefather Dragon clan took it for themselves." It was not a dispute that the Totem clan would go. Just when everyone was discussing who got disqualified, suddenly Li Bai gave a cold snort. With a gaze like lightning, he shot to the road from the south and shouted, "Since you are here, don't hide, right?" Like a needle, this voice pierced their eardrums and caused each martial artist to feel a burst of ringing in their ears. Indeed, a sinister sneer came from the south. "Good fortune teller, you have great skill. Even the Paramount Totem elite warriors did not discover it, yet you did." As soon as this voice came out, Qin Wushuang's complexion turned slightly cold. The expression of those Paramount Totem elite warriors also changed at the same time. Golden Crow. People of the Qin clan who heard the voice of the Golden Crow also reacted. "Ha, it seems I am not very popular. Why are each of you on guard?" With a sweep of divine light, the Golden Crow transformed into a burst of tyrannical golden light. Inside the golden light, a giant man covered in golden armor was wrapped. He had an abnormally tall figure and had an eye-catching hooked nose. With a deep gaze, he appeared extremely vicious. Clearly, this was the appearance of the Golden Crow when he transformed. Next to Qin Wushuang, Bao Bao clicked his tongue and cried out, "I didn't expect that this Golden Crow would have some good looks after transforming into a human." Lone mocked with his rough voice, "You are not going to sell your body, why do you need such good looks?" He did not conceal his voice at all. Of course, the Golden Crow heard him and shot over with a gaze like lightning. Qin Wushuang laughed lightly. "You evil creature, did you recover from your injuries last time? You dare to wreak havoc here, could it be you don't want to live?" The expression of the Golden Crow sunk. "Kid of the Qin clan, last time when you hid inside the sect, I let you go. You must promise that you will not come out again. Or else, I will let you know the consequences of offending the Golden Crow. When those Paramount Totem elite warriors saw that the Golden Crow was fighting with Qin Wushuang again, they all clicked their tongues in wonder. In fact, after being entangled with the Golden Crow for a few dozen years, they were also exhausted. If Qin Wushuang was willing to take this job, they would be eager to transfer the mission immediately. The Golden Crow landed on the high ground and looked around with an arrogant gaze. He said casually, "I say, fortune teller, I know you are exceptional, you are the controller of the god-discarding door. Since you have an extra spot, at least give me one. I am also a part of the Tian Xianland." Li Bai shot a glance at the Golden Crow with a cold sneer. "You want it?" The Golden Crow stuck out his chest. "Could it be I am not qualified?" "You are qualified, but it seems that the people here do not welcome you," Li Bai said with a grinning face. "Do I need them to welcome me? I say, fortune teller, don't drag it out. Let me ask you, since I am a part of the Tian Xianland, I am qualified to get a soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Are you going to give it to me or not?" Li Bai appeared to have great self-restraint as he still spoke with a neither fast nor slow pace. "It's true that you are a part of the Tian Xianland. However, I heard that you have always been a destroyer of the Tian Xianland. In the immemorial era, you appeared as a destroyer. Now that you have been reborn, you are walking the same old path. Our god-discarding door does not welcome you." The expression of the Golden Crow sank. "Don't speak with such a dignified tone. Just tell me, whether you will give me the soaring Galaxia commanding plate or not, it's all up to you. Why should you pretend to speak with a compassionate tone? I dare to promise that if the foreign tribes truly invade, perhaps you will escape faster than me." Upon hearing the words, foreign tribes, everyone's expression seemed to have been bitten by a poisonous snake. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 899. Li Bai's method of killing the Golden Crow had instantly tamed all Paramount Totem elite warriors. Their little schemes had collapsed instantly. With the entire scene intimidated, it was much easier to carry out Li Bai's orders. In the past, due to Li Bai's mysterious background, he would make a move occasionally. However, he always hid his strength well and appeared to be on par with the Paramount elite warriors. He never deliberately showed off. Unexpectedly, when he revealed his strength, it was this exaggerated. The Paramount Totem elite warriors had been tangled with the Golden Crow for a few dozen years. They knew the power of this evil beast too well. It could be said that they were being toyed with by the Golden Crow to the point of collapse. If it were possible, they only wanted to quit immediately. It was because the Golden Crow was too strange and unpredictable. Most likely, they would be the next one to fall. However, such a valiant Golden Crow did not even have the chance to struggle before Li Bai. He was killed in one move, and it seemed that he had not exerted all his strength. Li Bai looked down from above and arrived above the valley. As he chanted, suddenly he moved his arm and threw out 9 bursts of divine lights from his sleeves. Inside these 9 bursts of divine lights, there was powerful energy. Like 9 keys, they fell in 9 different directions. Whoosh! The 9 areas trembled with divine lights and formed a strange circular shape. It emitted waves of divine light ripples that kept dispersing. At this moment, the entire valley was filled with divine lights. A completely strange world appeared before everyone's eyes. A huge circular stone platform appeared, as if it had emerged from the ground. On the circular stone platform, bursts of strange lights shot out from each hole. It emitted dense fog and appeared extremely strange. Li Bai shouted, "Elite warriors with the primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate, get into position. Put your soaring Galaxia commanding plate into any hole to verify your identity." When the primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate passed the verification of this circular stone platform, 150 primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate holders were enveloped by the lights of that circular stone platform. The brilliance of this circular stone platform was like a blooming lotus flower. A few petal-like curtains of light kept closing and wrapped those 150 elite warriors inside. With a solemn expression, Li Bai said with a serious tone, "Everyone, this journey will last for 4 months. I can tell you ahead of time that if you act according to your capabilities, I can make sure that you will not put your life in danger. Unless you are extremely unlucky, you will only lose your life. However, if you want to reap great rewards, you must have the spirit of adventure." Of course, the price of taking risks was the possibility of dying at any time. I won't give you any advice, I won't tell you to think of saving your own life as the best strategy, and I won't encourage you to seek riches and honor in the midst of danger. To be able to come here, I believe that you have already prepared yourselves mentally before you set off. I only have one piece of advice. Follow your heart and don't hesitate. Being decisive and resolute is the mentality that cultivators like us should have. Li Bai had analyzed the stakes clearly. As for how to deal with it, it would be up to each of them. The first batch of 150 powerhouses with beginner Galaxy tokens were sent directly into the god-discarding maze by the divine light. Qin Wushuang remembered the situation when he entered the god-discarding maze by mistake at the endless Eastern Sea. Before his departure, he also mentioned this situation to those elite warriors of the Qin clan and asked them to stay calm at all times. This time, the Qin clan had 2 advanced soaring Galaxia command plates, 2 intermediate soaring Galaxia command plates, and 4 primary soaring Galaxia command plates. It wasn't a small number. However, including Qin Xiaotian, the Qin clan had 9 supreme Dao elite warriors. They were Qin Wushuang, Qin Xiaotian, Qin Yunran, Qin Chongyang, Qin Taichong, as well as Ji Huai, Ji Bo, Ji Song, and Ji Tong. However, Qin Xiaotian already made it clear that he would give up this opportunity. In this case, 8 soaring Galaxia command plates would correspond to 8 people. The most crucial part was the ownership of the remaining advanced soaring Galaxia command plate. It appeared somewhat difficult to give it to Qin Yunran or Qin Taichong. Being a rising star, Qin Taichong was not as strong as Qin Yunran. However, he had enough potential and was a young man worth nurturing. Although he possessed the advanced soaring Galaxia command plate, with Qin Taichong's strength, it would be extremely dangerous to enter the god-discarding maze after the 9th stage. However, everyone knew that regardless of Qin Yunran or Qin Taichong, they would need the care of Qin Wushuang, the head chief. Or else, it would be difficult for them to achieve anything. In the end, Qin Taichong carried out his style and respected his seniors. Qin Yunran acquired this advanced soaring Galaxia command plate. Naturally, Qin Wushuang did not interfere too much. Naturally, the 4 primary soaring Galaxia command plates were acquired by Ji Huai, Ji Bo, Ji Song, and Ji Tong. The 2 intermediate soaring Galaxia command plates were acquired by Qin Chongyang and Qin Taichong. Qin Wushuang arranged everything appropriately in each section. As for the final harvest, it would depend on each person's luck. There would be a year from the opening of this god-discarding door. Naturally, those who did not have their turn would have to wait for 4 or 8 months. No one would object if they set up camp in the same place. This was the rule of leaving. Who would dare to be unconventional? When night fell, Qin Wushuang was meditating with closed eyes inside the tent. Li Bai already floated outside the tent and laughed. "Wushuang, are you resting?" When he saw his senior brother coming to visit, of course Qin Wushuang would not neglect him, as he immediately went out to welcome him. "Ha ha, Wushuang, since you have the advanced soaring Galaxia command plate, it will be your turn in 8 months. There is nothing to do here, you can continue to train at the 7th loop. Just come back on time." Li Bai was reminding him kindly. Upon hearing Qin Wushuang mentioning that to the genuine Supreme Tao stage, 1 day was equivalent to 100 days at the 7th loop. 8 months would be 800 months. It was equivalent to 60 or 70 years of time. Now, Qin Wushuang still had some questions in his mind. He laughed and said, "Senior brother, that golden crow is an immemorial divine beast, right? Since you killed it, it will not be resurrected this time, right?" This question made Li Bai feel extremely distressed. Wushuang, the strangeness of this golden crow lies in its resurrection ability. Reasonably speaking, the owner of the graceful spiritual bow from the immemorial period, the great god Yi, would not have given them the chance to resurrect when he killed them. In terms of the immemorial great god, he would not be less powerful than me, or even more powerful. He also had the graceful spiritual bow. How could he have given them the chance to resurrect? However, this golden crow was resurrected. I am very confused about this matter. Theoretically, it is impossible to resurrect when the body and soul are destroyed. Even the paramount Great Luo cannot resurrect a life form that does not exist. For that golden crow from a moment ago, I am 100% sure that I already killed it. Its body and soul were destroyed. If it was resurrected, it would be a miracle. After Qin Wushuang heard this, he also felt confused. For such a strange matter, it was truly difficult to make a guess. He could only say with a bitter smile, perhaps 1 or 2 of the 10 immemorial golden crows did not die completely. It's not certain if they resurrected from the ashes? Li Bai gave a long sigh. For this we can only take one step at a time. The golden crow is not the main point. The main point was how strong the hidden power behind the golden crow was. Whether it is truly led by the golden crow. Senior brother, for the 3 people that were eliminated, are you sure they are spies from the foreign tribes? It's impossible to be 100% sure. However, they are rather suspicious. With tens and thousands of years of inheritance, it's difficult to confirm some identities. This is also the most difficult part of the investigation. Qin Wushuang agreed. Now that the golden crow is dead, perhaps we have beat the grass and alerted the snake. Indeed, this golden crow is too smart for his own good. However, Li Bai laughed. The golden crow is not stupid. This time, he must have come with a purpose. He is here to confuse me. I am guessing that for sure there are suspects among the people with the soaring Galaxia commanding plate. I only eliminated those 3 to confuse people. Wushuang, this time I came to tell you that among the people with the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate there are 2 guys. After you go in, if you have the chance, keep an eye on them. I already notified Wang Chan. He will also be in charge of keeping an eye on them. Now, for those Paramount Totem Elite Warriors, only Wang Chan and the Golden Ray Dragon King are at a higher stage. However, since the Golden Ray Dragon King is a beast from the endless Eastern Sea, I am not reassured. Therefore, I only told Wang Chan. As for the other few, they are too narrow-minded. We can't use them. When they enter the God-discarding maze, it's already commendable that they can keep a calm head and not get confused by the numerous treasures. Qin Wushuang laughed and did not speak a word. It would be inappropriate for him to comment on Paramount Totem Elite Warriors. After all, now these 2 had not reached the stage of Paramount Totem Elite Warriors. This is the list, keep an eye on it. Li Bai handed over a list. If you have the chance, use the puppet technique to trap them and see if you can get some great information out of them. Qin Wushuang took it and glanced at it. Then, he put it away. Li Bai laughed. The God-discarding door is also a game. Although those Totem Elite Warriors are not of great use, I do hope that this time they can dig out all the secrets left behind by the ancestors. Regardless, it's a precious legacy left behind by the ancestors. It's also a trump card for the Tianxian land to fight against the foreign tribes. Qin Wushuang nodded. Yes, I only hope that everyone will have less disputes and more cooperation. If the Tianxian land always has internal strife, even if we can drive away that foreign tribe this time, it's hard to guarantee that there will not be new troubles next time. Yes, Wushuang, I will take charge of the matters here. Tell the Qin clan to seize the time and go to the 7th loop for solitary training. 8 months of time is enough for you to do many things. Don't forget, we don't have much time. Theoretically, the highest limit is 10,000 years. However, inside the God-discarding door, who can guarantee that nothing will happen? Once some internal problems occur, it's possible for the situation to change drastically. The God-discarding maze was a maze set up by the immemorial gods. It was also a place to seal the elite warriors of the foreign tribes. It was the immemorial battlefield. One could almost say that the God-discarding maze was a double-edged sword. If used well, the power of the Tianxian land would increase tremendously. However, once spies from the foreign tribes sneaked in and did something to the God-discarding maze, they would break the seal and release a few of their sealed elite warriors. Then, trouble would follow. However, Li Bai and his friends had no other choice. Even if they knew that there were risks in this matter, they could not give up eating for fear of choking. Could it be that they would completely seal the God-discarding maze and wait for death because of the possibility of foreign tribes sneaking in? Clearly, this was not realistic. Therefore, they could only give it their all under the condition of ensuring the greatest safety. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 900. On the other hand, after Li Bai left, he returned to the mountain cave where he had set up camp. The heavenly mysterious 7 disciples were all present. Senior brother, did you tell junior brother? Qi Hengyu asked with a chuckle. Li Bai nodded. 5th, 6th, I asked you to keep an eye on those 3 eliminated spots. How is the situation now? For now, there are no abnormalities. However, senior brother, I don't understand one thing. Since you suspect them, why don't you find a reason to let their respective totem powerhouses kill them? If they stay, wouldn't it be trouble in the future? 5th, Huaxia was somewhat conflicted about this problem. He had always advocated killing decisively. Since they were the enemy, why not kill them? Li Bai laughed. 5th, it's easy to kill people, we can do it at any time. We don't have to use the totem powerhouses to make them misunderstand and think we are borrowing their knife to kill them. Those giants from the southern border and the eastern sea are not kind people. To put it bluntly, they are all thorns. Huaxia said angrily, we are not doing this for our own selfish reasons, but for the future of the Tianxian land. Since they are enjoying the honor of being the totem powerhouses, it's too much for them to not bear this bit of infamy. Among the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples, Huaxia was the one who hated evil with a passion. Huaxia had long been dissatisfied with the totem powerhouses who occupied their positions and did not do anything else. If it were his personality, he would have already deposed these people who occupied their positions without doing anything. However, of course, Li Bai had his own plans. It would be easy to depose the totem powerhouses. However, in the Tianxian land, besides the totem powerhouses, what other backup power could take the place? In the end, for the totem powerhouses, the monkey became king when there was no tiger in the mountain. At this moment Li Feng chuckled. 5th, don't be angry. To deal with the foreign tribes, it will be up to our junior brother. At that time, when we use thunderous methods, regardless of whether these totem powerhouses are obedient or not, they must resist for survival. Now, there is no need to criticize them. When it's time to beat them, I believe junior brother will not hold back. Even if you haven't seen his methods, you should have heard about it. Regarding those rumors about Qin Wushuang, the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples were clear about them. He admired this little junior brother's methods and temperament very much. Xiao Yishuan also nodded and said, "That's right. In any case, we're assisting little junior brother. It's not too good to overstep our boundaries at this time." Eldest senior brother revealed his divine ability today because he had no other choice. It wasn't our intention to reveal our strength. Hua Xie also understood the situation. He gave a long sigh and said with some anger, "I do wish to fight a great battle without restraint. It's uncomfortable to hold this breath in my chest." Li Bai said seriously, "Fifth, you must understand, if the foreign tribes truly come in now, we will not have any chance of winning." Everyone nodded. The foreign tribes were a plane supported by a master god. They were much more powerful than the Tian Xian land. "Alright, don't think too much about it. Didn't little junior brother say so? Master has left us other paths. Once the matter here is settled, we will have to go to other places to cultivate. Try to improve your strength as much as possible before the celestial river boundary array break." This was the same as setting the tone. Li Bai's words caused everyone to keep nodding. Yes, now we all have Master God weapons. Let's train hard and try to unleash the power of the Master God weapons. By that time, we will have a greater chance of winning. Haha, it's still the Master's generosity. If we only rely on the inheritance of the gods at the Tian Xian land, I think it will be difficult to deal with the foreign tribes. At this moment, suddenly Qi Hengyu laughed. "Senior brother, those 3 disqualified guys are making strange movements. Since their communication jade plates were confiscated, they cannot send any messages. It seems they plan to leave early." Hua Xie raised his brow and looked at Li Bai. "Senior brother, should we take them out?" Li Bai waved his hand. "No need." Hua Xie was confused. "Could it be we are letting them go?" "Yes, let them go. 5th, 6th, you two follow them. See where they are going and who they are contacting. Remember, do not beat the grass to scare the snake." Hua Xie and Qi Hengyu understood tacitly as they answered at the same time, "Okay." At the end of the endless eastern sea, beneath the rushing current valley, inside an underwater abyss that was a few thousand miles deep, a ball of flame from the deep sea rose with the temperament of a volcanic eruption. The surface of the entire rushing current valley was like a pot of boiling water as it kept rolling. The flame that was a few thousand miles deep had caused the water on the surface of the rushing current valley to boil. It was enough to see how terrifying the energy contained in this ball of flame was. This ball of flame was extremely red and close to golden light. Inside this flame, there was a gigantic demonic beast. It was another golden crow. The head of this golden crow was the size of a small hill. The ball of flame that it bathed in reached a height of tens of thousands of meters and displayed a majestic temperament. Roar. This golden crow let out a muffled angry roar. Next, it let out 2 gurgling sounds from its throat. Immediately after, another sharp whistle sounded. This sharp whistle was especially ear-piercing, as if it was the sound of sharp metal scraping against each other. It was so sharp that it could almost pierce one's divine soul. Fortunately, there were no martial artists within a few hundred miles. Or else, under such powerful pressure, they would have died on the spot. Following the sharp whistle, the feathers on the entire body of the golden crow became sparse one by one. This bathed flame was the flame of training, and at the same time, it was the flame of anger. Darn it, darn it! Another one of my children has been killed. This golden crow could not help but let out a low growl. His voice was close to madness. Regardless of who did this, I want you to die, you must die. Beneath the gigantic flame of this golden crow, there were 8 young golden crows. It seemed that they had just been born not long ago. However, the golden crows reproduced at an extremely fast speed, and they grew at an astonishing speed. As soon as they were born, they possessed the power of the transformation supreme Tao stage. The most monstrous thing was that their evolution speed was unimaginable by human martial artists. In a few dozen years, they could evolve to the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage. Children, one after another, your brothers were killed by this group of lowly martial artists from the Tian Xian land. Tell me, what should we do? That gigantic golden crow asked with a muffled voice. Kill them, kill them. Those 8 young golden crows responded with an evil and tender voice. That gigantic golden crow emitted bursts of eerie laughter. That's right, we must kill them, kill them. Could it be that broken bow and arrow was the one that killed my 10th child? Mother, just what is going on with that bow and arrow? Humph. Clearly, that gigantic golden crow was unwilling to mention it. Although that bow and arrow is powerful, there should not be any elite warriors at the heavenly supreme Tao stage in the Tian Xian land. Your 10th brother was already at the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage. How could he have been killed? There must be a problem. Initially, this golden crow was the queen mother of the golden crow. In the immemorial period after she was pregnant, she received orders to come to the Tian Xian land. She found the rushing current valley as a base and laid 18 golden crow eggs after 100 years of silence. With the power of this queen mother, she could not hatch all 18 eggs at once. She could only hatch them in batches. Unexpectedly, after 100 years of training, 9 of the 10 eggs in the first batch entered the second calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage and started to cause havoc at the Tian Xian land. The 10th one was just killed by Li Bai. Since it had not finished its evolution, it only went out to wreak havoc a few dozen years ago when the limelight had died down. Unexpectedly, it was killed by Li Bai. Of course, this startled the Queen Mother. In a fit of anger, the Queen Mother hatched the remaining 8 golden crows together. In terms of strength, this Queen Mother was at the 3rd calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. She was incredibly powerful. When she received orders to infiltrate the Tian Xian land, she cooperated with the enemy from the inside. Naturally, she had some other trump cards. Therefore, the Queen Mother had always been incredibly confident. Who would have thought that all 10 of his children would be killed by someone? This had completely infuriated this Queen Mother. Zhan Yu, Duan Shui, get your ass here. The Queen Mother moved her spiritual perception and immediately sent out her spiritual perception to summon her 2 most capable assistants. These 2 most capable assistants were also the true masterminds of the mysterious organization that Li Bai and his friends had guessed. Regardless of any aspect, they were extremely outstanding. They were the 2 great strategists of the foreign clans and only listened to the orders of the Golden Crow. They were in charge of connecting all major spies. Naturally, those 2 guys also used the rushing current valley as their base. When they heard the summons from the Queen Mother, they were greatly astonished. Queen Mother is awake? They did not dare to neglect and rushed over at full speed. When they saw the Queen Mother's imposing manner from afar, they felt restless. Fortunately, their strength was at the heavenly supreme Tao stage. They were also the only 2 heavenly supreme Tao elite warriors that came with the Queen Mother. Under the Queen Mother's imposing manner, they could barely resist it. They knelt from afar. Zhan Yu, Duan Shui, it's a pleasure to meet you, Queen Mother. The Queen Mother said coldly, get your ass here. Those 2 did not show the slightest displeasure. Instead, they only showed endless fear as they approached quickly. Your Majesty! Is there any news of the 10th prince? The Queen Mother asked with burning anger. The 10th prince went to the opening of the god-discarding door and covered our spies to enter the door. Your Majesty! Bastard, don't you know how to stop him? Fury gushed out from the eyes of the Queen Mother. Are you letting him go to his death? The 10th prince is dead. Zhan Yu and Duan Shui exchanged a glance, and a trace of fear emerged from their eyes. They were not afraid of the elite warriors of the Tian Xian land, but the fiendish eyes of the Queen Mother. Most likely, if they did not deal with it well, they would suffer greatly. Zhan Yu said while stuttering, Mother Empress, those paramount elite warriors of the Tian Xian land have fought with the 10th prince for such a long time. They have always been defeated by the 10th prince. How could they have killed him? Yes, Queen Mother, in the current Tianxian land, no one can defeat the 10th prince. The Queen Mother said coldly, according to your words, if the Tianxian land cannot even defeat the 10th prince, wouldn't we be able to unleash a massacre? Why would we need to endure for so long? Zhan Yu and Duan Shui were speechless and felt extremely depressed. Inwardly they thought, it's not like you don't know the temper of the 10th prince. If he wants to go, can we stop him? To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 901. However, Queen Mother Golden Crow would not reason with you. You can either be obedient and lower your head, perhaps you can escape a round of physical pain. If you contradicted her and angered her, it was possible that she would kill you on the spot. Fortunately, Queen Mother Golden Crow still restrained herself. Although she was furious, she did not make a move against these two. She also knew the temperament of her child. Finally, Queen Mother Golden Crow did not forget her duty of infiltrating the Tianxian land. She suppressed her anger and said, "Tell me, what is the current situation?" When those two saw Queen Mother's anger subside, the giant stone in their heart was slowly put down. They exchanged a glance and that Zhan Yu said, "Queen Mother, after tens and thousands of years of accumulation, our powerhouses in the Tianxian land have already taken root in all the forbidden spiritual zones. We have acquired legal identities. Perhaps some of them still have some problems, but a few of them have absolutely no flaws. How many people do we have? Queen Mother, when we came, there were 108 of them. For tens and thousands of years, a portion of them have met with misfortune. Now there are about 60 of them left. They are all extremely stable and possess extraordinary strength. Besides those who are hiding in each sect, there are 50 more. They can come at any time and fight when they are summoned. Once a battle erupts, our powerhouses are enough to fight against the 5 forbidden spiritual zones. It was enough to fight against the 5 forbidden spiritual zones. Such confidence made the expression of Queen Mother Golden Crow soothe a little. She nodded. After tens and thousands of years of training, 60 of the remaining 108 have a rather high survival rate. After tens and thousands of years, the weakest one must have trained to the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Most of them should be at the genuine Supreme Tao stage, right? Yes, there are only a dozen of them at the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. This is also the strategy of the higher-up. There must be some with mediocre potential. Or else, each of them would be powerful and it would be difficult to arrange identities. The remaining ones are all at the genuine Supreme Tao stage. They range from the first calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage to the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Adding up their numbers, they definitely have more than the totem elite warriors of the 6 totem clans. Considering that each forbidden spiritual zones still have some non-totem genuine Supreme Tao elite warriors, the strength of our elite warriors is enough to fight against the 5 forbidden spiritual zones. When Zhan Yu said this, he was very confident. Duan Shui, who was at the side, chimed in, "That's right. Moreover, we still have Her Majesty Mother Empress and the 8 young highnesses. In time, we can fight our way out from the inside and shatter the astral river barrier. This Tianxian land is the meat in the pot of our Fengyun mainland." The Golden Crow Queen Mother was not overly optimistic. She waved her hand and said, "Don't be too pleased with yourself. I can tell you that in this Tianxian land, for sure there are elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Or else, it would be strange if the Tianxian land had remained peaceful until now." In fact, Zhan Yu and Duan Shui also had this guess. However, since the Queen Mother didn't mention it, they didn't dare to bring it up either. Hearing Queen Mother Golden Crow's words, Zhan Yu also nodded. I reckon that the controller of the God Discarding Door should be a heavenly supreme Tao elite. Otherwise, how could he command those totem sovereign forces? Queen Mother snorted coldly and said, Haven't you always been proud of your intelligence? Why do you think I've been holding back for tens of thousands of years? If I didn't want to probe how many heavenly supreme Tao warriors are hiding in the dark, I would have already gone out. Queen Mother, you are wise. He kept flattering her, but he must do it. It's hateful that the heavenly supreme Tao warriors of the Tianxian land are extremely cunning. Those totem sovereign elite warriors are incomparable to them. If the heavenly supreme Tao elite warriors were as useless as the totem sovereign elite warriors, the Tianxian land would have already been in our hands. For tens and thousands of years, these heavenly supreme Tao elite warriors did not show themselves. According to my speculation, there are at least 2 to 4 of them. Someone is controlling the God Discarding Door, and someone is observing the soaring of Galaxia barrier. Unfortunately, in the end, they did not show themselves. Even when my son beat the 6 totem sovereign elite warriors to a sorry state, he could still hold himself back. Such self-restraint is a figure that will achieve great things. We must not underestimate the enemy. Zhan Yu and Duan Shui were apprehensive. They were also elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Upon hearing that there were so many Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors at the Tianxian land, of course they felt somewhat uncomfortable. I did not barge into that God Discarding Door. Firstly, I am worried about Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors. Secondly, I am afraid of entering the God Discarding Door by mistake. I am not familiar with the terrain and would fall into a trap. Therefore, someone must go and explore the path. The more information we gather, the easier it will be for me to step out. Of course, it would be even better if the spies we sent out could succeed. Zhan Yu gave a long sigh. So Queen Mother still has so many plans. I am ignorant for not knowing your plans. Queen Mother Golden Crow said coldly, I have endured for tens and thousands of years, I have endured all the anger I should. Regardless of the result of this God Discarding Door, we must launch a counterattack and strive to break the soaring of Galaxia barrier. Queen Mother, since you have waited for tens and thousands of years, why are you launching a counterattack now? Zhan Yu and Duan Shui were both confused. They were in the territory of the Tianxian land, and they had Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors. Wouldn't it be unwise to launch a counterattack? After all, this was someone else's territory. Humph, in the past, I did not counterattack because I had a weapon that I did not refine. Now, after tens and thousands of years, I have already refined a part of the power of this weapon. With this weapon in hand, I can instantly kill elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage at the same level. To challenge an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage 2 levels above me, it's enough for me to be in an invincible position. With you two as my left and right arms, and 50 or 60 genuine Supreme Tao elite warriors, even if I cannot win at the Tianxian land, I can guarantee an invincible position. Regardless of whether we can break the soaring of Galaxia barrier or not, we must keep attacking the Tianxian land. Just in case they brought out some good stuff from the God Discarding Door, we must not give them time to refine it. For the next few thousand years, we must win with all our efforts. Even if we cannot win, we must not let them rest. We must keep harassing them at all times. To put it bluntly, such strategy could only be described in one word: restraint. If they could win, they would fight. If they could not win, they would restrain the Tianxian land. They would not allow the martial artists of the Tianxian land to devote themselves to training. Zhan Yu and Duan Shui exchanged a glance and revealed an excited expression. What kind of weapon was it that could challenge an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage 2 levels above him? The answer was clear: a Master God weapon. With the power of the third calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, Queen Mother possessed a Master God weapon. Congratulations, Queen Mother, for refining the Master God weapon, Zhan Yu said with great joy. Congratulations. With the Master God weapon, you will be invincible at the Tian Xian land. Haha. Duan Shui was also extremely excited. In their opinion, with the Master God weapon, it was enough for them to sweep across the Tian Xian land. If the Tian Xian land had the power to resist the Master God weapon, they would not have lost so miserably a few tens of thousands of years ago. They would not have needed to use the divine souls of the gods to seal the soaring of Galaxia barrier. Without a doubt, the Tian Xian land did not have a Master God. According to their investigation, the Tian Xian land did not even have a sixth calamity Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. The strongest elite warrior was only at the fifth calamity Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. After the calamity of the apocalypse, all the Heavenly Supreme Tao warriors of the Tian Xian land met with misfortune. Although there were a few survivors, they were definitely not the strongest. Before Queen Mother, who possessed the Master God weapon, how could they resist? It was no wonder why Queen Mother was so confident. Queen Mother had a well-thought-out plan. Queen Mother Golden Crow revealed a slight smile. Refine the Master God weapon? Easier said than done? At most, I can only unleash 20 to 30% of the power of the Master God weapon. If I could unleash 50%, it would not be a problem to kill a fifth calamity Heavenly Supreme Tao warrior. Haha, 20 to 30% is more than enough to deal with those rascals at the Tian Xian land. If those guys can bring good news, it would be even better. Duan Shui gave a light sigh. Queen Mother, this time we sent out a total of 6 spies. As long as one of them can sneak in, certainly there will be good news. What do you think the probability is that they will not be noticed? I dare say that for these 6 guys, at least 1 or 2 will not be discovered. For those idiots at the Tian Xian land humph, I don't believe they can dig all of them out. At this moment, suddenly there was a burst of movement from Zhan Yu's communication jade plate. Queen Mother, there is news along the way. 3 of those 6 guys have returned. 3 returned. Duan Shui was overjoyed when he heard this. Doesn't that mean 3 of them have already sneaked in? This is a good thing, ha. Queen Mother Golden Crow gave a cold sneer. Is it a good thing? Queen Mother, we sent 6 and only 3 came back. The remaining 3 must have already sneaked in. Isn't this a great thing? It's a great thing to be able to sneak in. However, don't you feel that this matter is somewhat bizarre? Since these 3 fellows had been eliminated, they should have been monitored or even killed. How could they come back swaggeringly? Instantly those 2 guys were stunned. Queen Mother's words had woken them up from their dreams. That's right, since they were discovered, would the Tian Xian land let them come back? What did this mean? It meant that they let them come back on purpose. They let these 3 baits to catch the big fish. Queen Mother, what should we do? Queen Mother Golden Crow said lightly, What is the usual strategy? Usual strategy? Zhan Yu stammered and raised his head with astonishment. Queen Mother, what do you mean? He made a chopping motion with one hand. Queen Mother Golden Crow said with a cold tone, Could it be you want to spoil the entire plan because of the exposure of a few? Whoever gets exposed will die, this is our fate. Zhan Yu and Duan Shui drew a breath of cold air. Before they spoke, the expression of Queen Mother suddenly changed. She swore while gritting her teeth. Idiots, 3 idiots, they lured the enemy to the rushing current valley. Instantly, the expression of Zhan Yu and Duan Shui changed drastically. Enemy? Queen Mother, what kind of enemy? Queen Mother Golden Crow flapped her wings and instructed with a cold expression, You 2 stay here and take care of them, I will go personally. The person that came is not ordinary. Since the Queen Mother had stepped out, one could imagine how powerful this enemy was. Could it be an elite warrior of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage had arrived? To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.